Please let me know if I'm the asshole, exactly where I went wrong, or if I'm being a logical and reasonable friend. So I have this friend, we'll call her Trinity. We've known each other for about 10 years. We haven't spoken in a couple years. She kind of disappeared and went MIA, which I completely understand, because sometimes people just, you're not walking the same life path anymore, and they go off and they do their own thing, which is completely okay. I don't mind. So she just kind of like up and ghosted me, which I'm fine with. So we recently started talking again, and we kind of caught up. I told her about what happened.
Because I got time today, honey. So sit tight. It's going to be a long one, because this is a story time on how my best friend that y'all saw me living with for the last 2 years in this house, now she's my mortal enemy, and I'm about to tell y'all exactly where she had me fucked up at. Now, if you know ball and you actually listen to the things that the elders and the wise people say, they say two things, okay? The first thing that they say is that you don't know somebody until you live with them. That's the first thing they say. The second thing that they say, and this is the real kicker, the second thing that they say is that you have to be careful who you help and why you help.
Story time about the time this girl tried to scam me out of my Coach purse and I called the cops to her house. So to give you some context, this was happening over Depop. There is something that's pretty popular in the Coach community called a trade, where one person lists their bag for $1 and then the other person who they're trying to trade with also lists their item for $1. You purchase each other's items, you ship it through Depop. You're literally just trading your bag for theirs, and that is the end of the story. I had this Coach Soho baguette that I was looking to trade. I know that usually some people like to trade for different types of bags. I literally just wanted the same bag but in a different color. So I found this girl as...
Story time on why you should never live with a bitch you call your best friend, because that bitch is not your friend. And this just happened, so give me a minute. I really don't even know how to start this shit for real. Like, it doesn't make any sense with me. I literally just moved back to Atlanta from Jacksonville, Florida. I was living with my sister, helping her with some shit she needed some help with. In the midst of staying with my sister, I had a little issue. It didn't end up working out. I had to go. So, me and my sister still cool, but
These stories are absolutely insane. These men and women reached out wanting to share what happened to them, and I'm bringing it all to you today. If you enjoy it, drop a like and hit subscribe. It genuinely helps the channel grow, and I appreciate every single one of you. Now, let's get into it.
One time I dated a pimp on accidental purpose. And I say that because he did tell me that he was a pimp. But I thought he was fucking joking. Like, he's like, oh, I'm like, what do you do for a living? He's like, I'm a pimp. I'm like, shit, me too. Ha, 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 right? Fuck no, not ha, ha. This motherfucker was dead ass serious. And at first, we were all partying and shit. He used to invite me and my homegirls everywhere. They had mansion parties, all this shit or whatever. So I'm thinking he sells rugs like everybody else, right? Right? No. Fuck no. That was not the case. One day we get in the car or whatever and we're riding around. We go see his baby mama, and he was like he had to go pick up some money from his baby mama. Whole time, baby mama is and she works for him. But I didn't realize this until fucking later on or whatever, when I seen the setup or whatever, right? Okay, so that was the first red flag. Like, why are you picking up money from your baby mama? I really didn't get it, okay? A couple days later, he asked me to ride with him. He got to go pick up some money, and he goes to the hotel room, and this girl comes out and she's got this big ass fucking canvas with her, and she gives him like a wad of fucking cash, and she gives him the canvas. She's like, this is for you, daddy. So I'm like, daddy? And he like, babe, chill, I told you I'm at work. So I'm like, what the fuck? I'm still trying to fathom the thought. Anyways, I look at the painting, and this bitch is talented as fuck. This bitch done painted him and her at a motherfucking beach looking at the sunset. Swear to God, I cannot make this shit up. So yeah, he takes the painting or whatever. She's like, bye, daddy, see you later or whatever. So then he's explaining to me, he's like, yeah, I'm really a pimp. I really do this. They love me to death. Like, We get to the next girl's room. We go to another place across the street, basically, whatever. Mind you, I'm an hour away from home. We get to the next girl's room, and she comes outside, and she's already looking like sad or whatever. And she's like, I'm short. I'm sorry. He flips the fuck out. He turns into the fucking Tasmanian devil. This motherfucker grabs her by the hair. He jumps out the car. He grabs her by the fucking hair, and he starts dragging her back to the fucking room. So I'm scared as fuck, bitch. And all within 3 minutes, this motherfucker done drug her back to the room. And he comes back out, and he's got a big ass like duffel bag looking shit. And she's like trailing behind him like, please, daddy, don't leave me. Like, daddy, don't leave me. Da 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 da. He's like, fuck you, bitch. Like, I'm gonna show you something. Like, da da da. So I'm like, what the fuck, this bitch? He just snatched this bitch up, and now she's fucking begging and shit. So then I'm realizing like, oh, bitch, you're in too deep. You're in too motherfucking deep, bitch. Let me know if y'all want a part two. Part two of how I dated a pimp on accidental purpose. So He get in the car, he got the girl's stuff in the car or whatever. She's still crying, like, please don't leave me. We pull off. So I'm like, I don't want nothing to do with this. Like, I don't know what the fuck you got going on. I don't want nothing to do with this. And he like, oh no, baby, like, that's just how this shit goes. You know, if they don't play by the rules, then I leave them. And I'm like, what the fuck you mean you leave them? He like, oh, I got her from Tennessee. I'm like, Tennessee? He's like, yeah, we go on tour. Like, that's what I do. I find the girls. I give them a place to stay. They don't have to go in the stores and buy anything. I don't let them go in the stores and buy anything. I buy them all their hygiene, and all they have to do is sit in the room and make my money. I buy them their arts and crafts and whatever they want to do. That's how the bitch had that fucking canvas, that nice-ass canvas and shit. So I'm playing it cool. I'm gathering all the information that I can or whatever, and we're driving around, and I don't even see no more girls after this. After this, we go to the store, and we go get all the hygiene things that he's fucking telling me about, and we go drop off all this shit. I'm playing it cool, bitch. I'm like an hour and some change away from home. If I'm being honest, we were in the Charlotte, North Carolina. That's where the fuck we was at, dropping off all this shit to these girls or whatever. So I'm like, okay, I'm playing it cool. By the time we're on our way back home, he's like, yeah, like, I don't want you to think I'm this bad guy, whatever it does. And I'm just playing it cool because, like, bitch, and he keeps a pew. So I'm like, oh yeah, bitch, you're fine. Whatever you do, that's what you do. Whatever. Get him to drop me off. I block him on every motherfucking thing, bitch. I block him on every fucking thing. And in the process, while we're talking about it, he's telling me like, oh yeah, my baby mama was the first one. Like, I'm not new to this. I'm true to this. I was really raised into this. My baby mama did it for me. Like, long story short, like I said, bitch, I blocked him on every motherfucking thing. 3 days later, he comes to my house banging on the motherfucking door. I got my homegirl at the house with me. He's banging on the door, causing a ruckus because I don't want the neighbors to get involved. So I go outside to talk to him because he's out there hollering like, I'm really not a bad guy. Like, just talk to me. Like, please don't do me like that or whatever. So I go outside to fucking talk to him or whatever. And in the process, he's like, oh, let's go to the store and get some cigars. We get in the store. We get in the car. We go into the fucking store and shit. And basically, we get into an argument because I'm telling him, like, what you're doing is fucking wrong. Like, you're wrong. Like, I don't like that shit, whatever. And he told me at this point I was being disrespectful and shit. So I'm like, nigga, I don't give a fuck. Like, now I'm back in my hometown, so I don't give a fuck. And I'm like, nigga, like, fuck you, I don't give a fuck. This motherfucker pulls the pistol out on me. He pulls the pistol out on me and he fucking points it at me. Bitch, I fucking tuck and roll and jump out that motherfucking car. I sure did. And he's like, bitch, what the fuck are you doing? Bitch, I fucking took off fucking running. I took off running. I was probably like a half a mile from my house. Took off fucking running. Waited to make sure that his ass wasn't the fuck around. And I got my ass back in that motherfucking house. And he never came the fuck back around. He never came back around after that. He knew he took it too fucking far. And for context, he is currently locked up for that, for like kidnapping and some more shit, from taking them girls from wherever the fuck they're from, and I guess holding a couple of them fucking hostage. But yeah, he got like a lot of years. I want to say like 30 fucking years for that shit. And he used to viral. He was like viral. He used to live stream all the time. So that was what was so crazy about it. I don't think people really knew what he was doing until he got locked up. Like front page news type shit.
Let me set the scene for you. It's 2024. For All the Dogs came out maybe around late 2023, maybe early 2024. Just know by February, there were 3 Drake concerts back to back to back in the city that you were living in at that time that you decided to go to because you know someone who knows Drake really well. So fast forward to the second and the third concert, because we're not going to talk about the first one. The second and the third concert, you get floor tickets, okay? With the little Drake and your name on them or whatever the case may be. And because again, like I said, we know someone who knows Drake or whatever. Okay. So the second night, we go to the after party after. Mind you, it's the city that we're from. Like, so it's nothing, okay? So we go to this after party. Drake walks through, main character, whatever. You know, everybody's, oh my God, it's Drake. Ladies. Okay, you get the picture. He says something to somebody that you're friends with at the time, but I don't fuck with that bitch no more. But he said something to her, and she's so fucking drunk that she doesn't even remember what he said. Okay, so we're like, okay, day three, we go to a different city because again, we gonna get the tickets for free because, like, you know, we got a hookup. Okay, whatever. You would do it too. Now we get to the third day. I am fucked up. Okay, I am fucked up, and I'm like, it doesn't even matter if I'm this fucked up because it's not like I'm pulling Drake. Like, I'm gonna talk to Drake. It's not like, you know what I'm saying? Not little did I know. Let's not even act like I pulled Drake, okay? Fast forward through the story. Chubbs. Somebody came up to me like, you've been specially invited to a section. And I'm like, I'm going to the Drake after party. Like, I don't know what you talking about. I'm not going to no club with nobody. I'm going to the Drake after party. Mind you, I'm fucked up, okay? No groupie shit. Like, it's just like, you know, I'm having fun. I'm about to go to the... Don't treat me like a groupie in the comments, period. Okay? Because you would do it too. Now, anyway, We get to the Drake after party. I am drunk as fuck, okay? And mind you, like I said, we're really close with somebody who knows Drake very well, the person who's throwing this after party, right? And so basically, we're sitting at this table, like kind of in the middle, like all of the girls who like are very familiar with this guy who knows him. He has us sitting at this table, fucked up, okay? Fucked up. I lost my jacket upon entrance. It's 20 degrees outside, okay? It's 20 degrees outside. This is important. Now, anyway, I guess it's not that important. Anyway, so you're sitting at this table. You and the girls are taking shots at the open bar. I'm fucked up. You guys have to keep in mind, I'm fucked up. Drake walks in, sits directly across from, okay, so I'm sitting here. There's a girl right here. He sits at this chair right here. Mind you, there was actually, the girl may have moved. So it's like me and Drake. It was like out of a fucking fan fiction, okay? He goes like this. He turns like this. I looked at him. I said, hi, Drake. And he said, hey. And I said, oh, can I come over there and talk to you? I am drunk as fuck, mind you. So I go over there. Do you know what I said to Drake? I said, hey, Drake. He said, hey, nice to meet you. What's your name? I said, I'm Cameron. It's nice to meet you. And he said, okay. And I said, yeah, I really enjoyed the concert. Like, you really are doing your big one out there, but I have a question. And he said, what's your question? What's up? I said, why aren't you performing Bahamas Promises? He said, you like Bahamas Promises? I said, that's my favorite song on the album. Why aren't you performing it? He said, it's too slow. I said, that's not right. You need to put that on the set list. And then I said, and whoever Haley is, she fucking snapped. I saw my BBL, my Birkin bag, my Chanel, my student loan payoff flash before my eyes. What did he do? He said, yeah. Sorry, Drake. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Okay, listen. So then I said, well, I don't want to bother you. It was really nice meeting you. And then I walked away because I knew, who the fuck? Have you heard Bahamas Promises? Like, it's a... And I said, whoever Haley is, she snapped. I mean, she did, but like, fuck. Like, listen, all I know is if Drake ever want to double back on that, if he ever wants to holla back, just answer my DMs because I be DMing her all the time. I'm not ashamed. I'm not ashamed because I be trying to talk about the music. The music is good. I don't care what way we put it. The music is good. Pipe down, delicious. Anyway, I just had to tell y'all about the fact that I fumbled generationally. I mean, it's not like he wanted me, but like, I'm just saying, like, maybe, like, if I would have just not said that, like, I could have maybe had a fighting fucking chance, but I just couldn't even, like, keep it together. Like, I was so fucked up, and that's why it's important. And all I got out of that interaction, by the way, is somebody stealing my jacket. Who the fuck steals a jacket from the Drake after party? I had to walk outside in 20-degree weather. Mind you, the same, like, let me just add in, at this same party, I'm this fucked up. I am walking around, J. Cole's there. I said, push him out the way. Move. Have you seen my jacket? Girl.
Okay guys, story time on how I got rejected from my job because I had a giant pimple above my lip. Okay, so basically on the day of my job interview, I got this like ginormous pimple right above my lip. It was disgusting. I'll put a photo, but I posted a video of it. It got like 10 million views and almost 800,000 likes. Everybody in the comments was telling me to like make it into a mole, like wear on a mask, but I was like, bro, like I'm not wearing a mask to an interview. A pimple patch did nothing. Okay, basically, I get to the interview, and the guy's like, hi, like, welcome to meet you, and I'm like, hi, nice to meet you. I see his eyes look exactly, like, they go down, and they look at the pimple. I'm like, Anyways, like, I just sit down and the guy's like, let me tell you how this works. I'm just gonna ask you a few questions. I was like, okay, like, that sounds good. And then I had to bring up the pimple. So I was like, also, like, please don't mind, like, the big pimple on my lip. Like, it literally popped out of nowhere. And he was, like, kind of laughing. He was like, yeah, like, no worries about it. Like, it happens, blah, blah, blah. And so I think the interview is going good, but usually when I talk to someone, I can't keep eye contact. Like, I just, like, start looking around like this. But so when I was doing that, like, I know it's bad. I know you have to make eye contact on an interview, but I just can't. So when I was looking this way, I could see from my, like, peripheral vision that he was looking at the pimple. Like, he looked down at it, like, at least 5 times. I was like, are you joking? Like, I can't blame him. Like, that thing, like, it was so big. I don't know where it came from, but okay, so that's it. Like, I finished the interview. I thought it went pretty well. Like, it's literally just a smoothie bar. I live near it. Like, I know how to make smoothies and stuff. I have lots of restaurant experience, so I for sure thought I was going to get the job. I was like, okay, like, this is good. But I also had people in my comments telling me that, like, appearance is a big factor in, like, job interviews, and that some people get rejected if they have, like, something gross on their face. But, like, that just I didn't believe them because I was like, okay, like, it's just a pimple. It's, like, a temporary thing. But the day after the interview, in the morning, I get an email, and they freaking rejected me because of my pimple. I can't even make this up. I'll literally put the email up on the screen. But I guess it says something about, like we take pride in appearance or something. I was like, are you joking me? Like, they said it in the most subtle way. It was about the pimple. Like, I get it. I know that pimple was gross and disgusting, but, like, please, bro. Like, it's almost gone now. Like, it kind of turned into a mole. I don't know when it's going to go away, but yeah. So, yeah, that's how I got rejected from my dream job, because I had a pimple above my lip.
This is how I found out that my friend of 5 years is secretly seeing my ex-boyfriend. And for the purpose of the story, I'm not going to name you. In fact, I'm going to give you the decision of whether or not you want to come onto the internet and tell everyone how you are friends with your friend's ex. Personally, that's not something I would, but you seem to have no problem doing that on your close friends. I was dating a guy who lived in my apartment building for 6 months. This story, however, it's going to be focused on her. I do want to recognize the fact that he did a lot too that contributes to this. However, I was only with him for 6 months, and I've known her for 5 years. I want to say first off, I have never done anything to this girl prior to this. In fact, she had no problems with me, which is why she went on my birthday trip recently on January 23rd, which is how she gained any proximity to my ex-boyfriend. All the information that I'm about to tell you is something that I've learned within the past 24 hours. I was meant to hang out with my friend when she asked me, hey, are you hanging out with this girl? And I go, no, I'm not. She's like, are you sure? And she's like, oh, because her location has been at your apartment complex for the past 3 nights. And mind you, she wasn't actually the only person that came forward and noticed the fact that her location was at my apartment complex. There's 2 separate people who on their own saw that you were here. The first friend noticed the fact that you were here and texted you, hey, what floor are you off, to drop something off to you that you left at her apartment. And what do you say? That, oh, I met a guy last night and that's why I slept over here, when the guy was my boyfriend. And that is the first time out of many times that she lied about sleeping over at my ex-boyfriend's place. She says that she's just about to leave. So what do? As a person that lives here? I go downstairs to the lobby. And I didn't want this to be true. I didn't want the information that you've been sleeping over at my ex-boyfriend's place. I didn't ask for any information. It was given to me. So I thought the best way to do this would be to straight up ask you as I waited in the lobby for you. Then another person come forward that has your location, knows the fact that the location moved. Meaning you left my building without going through the lobby, which means your only other choice was going through the residential parking. So then I go downstairs to the parking lot and my ex-boyfriend's car isn't there anymore. With your location changing, mind you, did not ask for this information, was very so politely given. I noticed the fact that it changed to a cafe that only my ex-boyfriend knows about. When all of a sudden you turn your location off. And when you did that, you just made it so much worse. An innocent person wouldn't do that. And when you were caught being at this cafe, you got a call from one of our friends, who also is and now was your friend. She calls you and says, hey, I just got told that someone spotted you with Sophia's ex-boyfriend. Would you ultimately reply and say, no, I wasn't at a cafe with Sophia's boyfriend? She also gave you about 5 times to confess to what you did, and you denied it every single time. At this point, you're caught publicly and privately. But that's regardless, because then you decide to text her afterwards, confessing to the fact that you were there with my ex-boyfriend. If there was nothing going on between you and my ex-boyfriend, would you have felt the need to lie? Right. That was the second time that you lied. That friend then tells you to text me. You text me saying this feels like high school. Who made it high school? Did anyone force you to be with my ex-boyfriend that I broke up with 2 weeks ago? Did anyone make you get that coffee with him? In fact, you didn't even respond to me when I asked you to unfollow him on Instagram. That's because that same man talked so badly about you that I thought he didn't deserve you as I defended you over and over. You may have not known that information, but you do know it now, and you can ask him about it. And then you confirm the fact that you're friends with my ex-boyfriend. And then you say that you're working with my ex and that this is not malicious towards me at all. And within that text, you bring up his roommate, meaning you were in his place. And if you were working together or for business, why didn't you say that? And why were you sleeping over? A question, who hangs out with their friend's ex-boyfriend? Did I do that to yours? But you made a very viral video calling out your roommate who did the same. So suddenly you have an issue when girls are hanging out with your boyfriend, but when you hang out with mine, it's fine? The point is, I broke up with my ex-boyfriend, not you. You are my friend, you owed me loyalty. So anyways, I respond. And this took a lot out of me. Couldn't believe that it was true. But I knew within my heart, I just needed to step away from this situation. Which I said to you, I'm not interested in the details of what you wish to admit or deny with me. My stance isn't based on one thing or one person, but evidence I've seen directly. From turning off your location, your inconsistent story, and being with him in private and public made this situation. This isn't about me wanting to control who you follow or who you see. It's all about being open on honesty and respect, which you don't have for me. I'm not asking for a back and forth debate on your experience with him. I've made my decision based on the information that I have. I wish you well. And him, but I'm stepping back from this. Does that sound like high school to you? Or does that sound like the most mature response I could have given you? It's more than what you deserve. Even though I made it very clear that this was not a conversation, you decided to reply. So then she says, I would have been very willing to have a conversation with you, but having other people track my location and the girl texting me to talk about Valentine's Day, which I genuinely want to talk about it just to get me on the phone, is very manipulative, and I would have been open to having a conversation. It really didn't have to be like this. You're right, it didn't have to be, but you lied to me and all of our friends, and you got caught. I want you to notice through that text, she did not address any of her actions. Why she lied to me, lied to her friends, and is sneaking behind my back with my ex-boyfriend and lying about it. But instead, she deflected and made it about me. Isn't that manipulation? After this, I block you because I realized that there's nothing I can say or do for you to learn, because this is not even the first time that you've done something like this. You have a pattern of being with your friends' ex-boyfriends. You want to admit that you did all of this? That's fine. I'll bring in the friends that you did that to as well. Then I put something on my close friends announcing that we're no longer friends. And again, wishing you the best. But you say, how are you going to block me, then announce on your close friends that we're no longer friends? Is that not true? We aren't friends. You made that clear. Then you say, yes, me and your ex are still friends, and now I feel zero remorse because you want to act like a little high schooler rather than your grown age of 24. At least you publicly admitted it on your close friends that you are friends with my ex. So people know I'm not lying. She says that she has no remorse about her actions, so do with that what you will. And you bring up my age. You were born a year after me. The man that you want is 2 years older than me. The final takeaway of this situation is this is why people don't like you. There are more horror stories about you than letters in your name. For that reason, I think you and my ex really deserve each other. You can play victim, but you're both guilty. Because of your actions, on that day, you lost 4 girlfriends. I'm sure it's no shock to you because you've gone through more friends than anyone in LA. And as I'm telling the story time, no one who knows you is surprised. Everyone who's been through something with you came forward to me. This is just simply who you are. My final 2 questions to you is number 1, how is the almond latte? And number 2, how do I taste? I am joking, but you have done this before with your friend exes and you did sleep over, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Last night, I got posted on a Facebook page called Bad Drivers of Laredo, and I don't care what anybody has to say. I'm just telling my side of the story, which I understand that it's wrong, but this is my reasoning why I did it. So,
I got posted on the Facebook page last night. We were coming back in from out of town, and I had my 2-year-old son in the front seat with me. I understand why people are upset. When I see that, I am also upset, but I don't do it just because they want to get out. I am not the type of person who allows my kids to like roam around the car without a seatbelt. They're always strapped in properly too, not just the top. They're strapped top and bottom, like whatever. Yesterday, actually 2 days ago, we were at a family reunion, and my tia lives out in like the countryside, so there's a bunch of bugs. And that night when we got back to the condo, I noticed that his leg was swollen and a little hot. This was 2 nights ago, so not last night, the night before. And I was like, okay, well, something bit. And my kids are very sensitive to bug bites, so I was like, all right, maybe it was a mosquito. The next day, which was yesterday, which is the day I got posted, he was in a awful mood like no other ever. Like, he has never been this bad ever before. He was screaming since the moment he woke up to the moment we took him to the ER when we got to Laredo, which was shortly after that video was taken. We got down at a restaurant in San Antonio, Taco Palenque, and he was screaming for the first 5-6 minutes, screaming. He was that kid at the restaurant, which he never is. I had to take him outside into my car, where I started crying. I don't want to cry right now, but yesterday was so freaking hard, guys. I was texting my sister. I have a video, maybe I'll insert it, of me crying while he's playing. He finally had calmed down, and I was emotional because I was trying so hard to keep my patience with him, because I knew that something was wrong, because he never acts like that. So I was in the car with him, waiting while everybody else was eating inside. And on the road, he fell asleep. He was asleep. He woke up right before we were getting to our house, a few blocks away, which is where the video was taken. He woke up screaming, like if he had the worst dream ever, or if he was like in excruciating pain, and he was pointing at his leg. I looked at his leg. It was so swollen. I touched it, and it was burning hot. So my instinct was, I was just scared, and I pulled him out of the car seat and I brought him up front with me. I was looking at his leg, as you can see in the video. I'm looking down. I was looking at his leg and his ankle. Both, he had 2 bites on his leg and his ankle, and they were, I don't think I took a picture of his actual leg, but it was double the size of the other one. It was super tight. It was very hot. His ankle was ginormous. So I thought something maybe poisonous had bit him. Every time I would touch his leg, he would say, ouch, ouch. He couldn't even walk on it. So anyways, my point is, we got home. My younger daughter, my baby, she was hungry. We fed her. My husband took my son to the ER, and they said it was a bug bite. They checked if he had circulation going down. He did, so they weren't worried. Not that any of this matters. I understand that no kid should be without a seatbelt. I am totally against that as well. But in that moment, my child was in excruciating pain, and I, as a mother, was scared. There was no way we can pull out of where we were. We were at that light, and there was 2 cars on each side of us. I don't know if these people in front of me are laughing at me, but anyways, we were in the middle lane. So we were in, I believe we were like the first ones in line. So like we couldn't pull over anywhere. We couldn't go anywhere. And yes, I pulled my son out. Could I have waited longer? Yeah, but I was scared. I was scared for my child. I didn't know what was going on. I panicked, and I got him out. So I'm not trying to defend myself, or I'm not trying to, like, I don't care what that person said. But I think it's really funny that this person was recording me while they were driving, because they were the driver recording, and they were still driving. So you want to talk about safety, honey? You're recording and driving. Secondly, I think it's even more funny that these people are fucking loser cowards, that they post anonymously. Like, grow some balls. If you're gonna post about people and record them, why are you posting anonymously? You're scared? Are you embarrassed? Thirdly, if you were that concerned and calling me a dumbass on social media, why didn't you were right next to me, brother or sister? Why didn't you roll down your window and say something? Because you're a coward. You're a loser. And there's somebody who was like, they noticed that it was me, I guess, and they were like, isn't that the wannabe influencer? Like, girl, you're such a freaking loser as well. And you posted anonymously too. Like, would you say that to my face? If you're watching this, comment down below and say it to my face, because I doubt you will, because you're a loser and you're a hater and you're jealous. But anyways, yeah, guys, keep your kids safe. Keep them in their car seats. I am totally for car seats. I don't ever let my kids be without one. Yesterday was one of the exceptions that, you know, it just happened. Life happens. Moms make mistakes. Parents make mistakes. We were very close to home. I was scared. Didn't know what was happening to him. His leg freaked me out. I have the paper. I don't know if my husband got it down, but I have the discharge paper somewhere. I hope he didn't throw it. Maybe it's at the house, but maybe I'll insert it to show you that my husband took him to the ER yesterday. And yeah.
A dog bit my nose off 3 years ago, and I'm going to tell you about how it happened. Well, I had been dating my now fiance for maybe 10 days, and he's like, okay, let's go on a trip to Florida to visit my brother. So we go to Florida, having lots of fun, right? And one night, after getting back from dinner and drinks, we go back to their house, like we have been for the last week that I was there. So my brother-in-law's girlfriend, it was her dog that bit me. So she has a dog called a Boerboel, which if you don't know what that is, look it up. It's absolutely huge. It's an African Mastiff, insanely big. I'm lucky to be alive. It was completely unprovoked. I wasn't really doing anything with the dog. I sat down on the ground with the dogs, like all of us did. There was me, my now fiance, the dog owner, and we were all sitting on the floor playing with, there were 2 dogs. There was also a chocolate lab. So we're petting the dogs, whatever. And I kind of remember going to the dog and just petting its head. And then the next thing I know, he is latched onto me like this and not letting go. And everyone's kind of screaming. It was really traumatic. Everybody's screaming. I was so calm, right? And then when he finally let go, it's I don't know, he ate my nose apparently. But I just remember looking down, blood pouring out of my face. Everyone's freaking out, and I am everybody please calm down. You guys need to calm down so I can remain calm. I definitely had the, fight or flight. I definitely went into fight mode. I was calm. I'm okay, this is what we need to do. We need to go to the hospital. And that's what we did. They did call an ambulance, but we honestly passed the ambulance on the way to the hospital because we had been drinking. My brother-in-law's best friend, who was living at the house at the time, he wasn't out with us, so he came, heard the commotion, came out with his keys, ready to go. I remember not feeling that much pain either. My adrenaline was just going. It was such an insane feeling, and I felt some pain, but it wasn't I don't know, something like this happens and you think it would be I don't know, the most painful thing in the world, but when our bodies just naturally really know what to do to help protect us in those situations, and you hardly feel anything. I'm still not sure why exactly the dog bit my nose, because if this dog was to be super, super aggressive to me, he would have killed me, right? So it was just he just bit onto my nose. So I don't know if he was being playful or what the situation was. I also had a nose ring in at the time. So did he see something shiny and kind of go to bite at it? Because he was still a puppy at this stage as well. I think he was only a year old. We also were drinking, so I had alcohol in my breath, and I saw another person comment on one of my videos and said something like this happened to me or so-and-so or whatever it was, and they were drinking, and the dog, it was because of the alcohol that the dog kind of got freaked out and bit the person. Yes, the dog is still alive, so if you're interested in more of that part of the story, go to my other video. And then I just went on a journey of visiting many different hospitals, many different surgeons, and the journey of reconstruction that has now taken 3 years and counting. So if you're interested in hearing more about my surgical journey and more about my next phases of my process, which are these babies, comment, like this video, and give me a follow, and I'm gonna make a part 2.
Story time about the time this girl tried to scam me out of my Coach purse and I called the cops to her house. So to give you some context, this was happening over Depop. There is something that's pretty popular in the Coach community called a trade, where one person lists their bag for $1 and then the other person who they're trying to trade with also lists their item for $1. You purchase each other's items, you ship it through Depop. You're literally just trading your bag for theirs, and that is the end of the story. I had this Coach Soho baguette that I was looking to trade. I know that usually some people like to trade for different types of bags. I literally just wanted the same bag but in a different color. So I found this girl Esme who was selling the bag but in a brown leather, and I asked her if she wanted to trade and she said yes. So we both agreed to the trade. We list our items for $1. We purchase each other's items, and then the next day I go out to ship it. I let her know that I've shipped it, and she tells me that she also dropped hers off at the post office. So everything is fine and dandy until Depop sends me a notification that she still hasn't shipped her item. And so I say, okay, that's kind of weird, but I will always trust Depop over a bitch's word, because I went to our messages to go hit her up and be like, hey, why haven't you shipped this yet? And then I found out that she deleted her account. And at this point I was like, oh, you're trying to scam me. I do. It's Sunday at like 11 p.m. So obviously nothing is open. First, I try to put in a package intercept request with USPS. They tell me that the package is not eligible because it was shipped through Depop. So I reach out to Shippo, which is the shipping label company that Depop uses. And I let them know, hey, I need you to help me put in a package intercept request on this package. They say, no problem, can do that. They let me know that they've put in a request for me, and then first thing in the morning, Monday morning, I'm making phone calls. I called USPS corporate and I was like, hey, I need this package intercepted. I cannot have this package delivered to the address that it's sent for by any means. And they say that there's only so much that they can do about it. If there's an intercept in the system, it's just kind of up to the local post office to get that intercept and then stop that package from being sent. And so I get the phone number of the post office that it's being delivered to in Arizona. Being that I'm on the East Coast and Arizona is PST, I know I have to wait a couple hours before their office opens. So first thing at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm making phone calls to them too. I call the Mesa post office 35 times and no one picks up, not one time. Underneath all of this, I understand that there is a possibility that the package makes it to her, and I totally get that, but I am doing everything in my power to not let that happen. Mind you, the package was due to be delivered on Tuesday, the very next day. At the end of the day on Monday, I just kind of accept that nothing's gonna come out of this. It's too late. And in my head, I'm like, okay, you know what? A loss is a loss. Like, this is a lesson learned for me. I just won't do this again. I can't trust everyone on the internet. The next day on Tuesday at 8 a.m., I get a phone call from my local post office, and it's the postmaster telling me, hey, I see that you've put in an intercept request on this package being sent to Arizona. I just wanted to let you know that the package has been marked for intercept, and in a couple of days, it will be making its way back to you. And no lie, I was like, you are an angel. You are amazing. Thank you so much. This is the best news I've ever heard. I hang up the phone and I'm literally ecstatic. I'm like screaming. I'm texting everyone I know. I'm like, the package got intercepted. Thank God. So a couple hours go by and I'm watching the tracking information. And I do know that when a package is marked for intercept and it has been intercepted, it will update the tracking information. However, by like 4 p.m., I see that nothing has changed in the tracking information. And so I call up USPS corporate and I ask them, hey, I have a package that my local postmaster told me was marked as intercepted. I don't see that in the system. Are you able to see that in the system? I just want to confirm that this package is being returned to sender. They tell me, we can't see that from our end, but if you got that phone call, then it's probably a good sign. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. While this is all happening, I'm literally on my way to the airport to go to Florida. And when I board the plane, the package hasn't moved at all. When I get off the plane, I have seen that the package was delivered to this bitch. So I'm like, ugh, like that is so frustrating. In my head, I had already assumed that it would make it to her, but this glimmer of hope that I got really just raised my expectations so much. My hopes were so high just for it to be let down again. And I was like, oh, you know what? Whatever. I'm not gonna let this ruin my trip. That was kind of annoying, but it is what it is. So the next day I'm at Disney with my friends and I get a phone call from my post office again. I'm literally in line. I'm in line for Test Track. I have my phone up to my ear and I literally have to scan it for the fast pass. I'm on vacation right now. So I answer the phone and it's my postmaster again. And she says, "Hey, I'm really sorry. I saw that your package ended up getting delivered, the one that I called you about yesterday that said it was intercepted. Someone totally dropped the ball in Arizona. That really should not have happened. So I reached out to Arizona and I asked them, hey, why did you deliver this package? It was supposed to be returned back to us." And she tells me that the carrier that had delivered the package had gone back to knock on her door and make a recovery attempt. So he knocks on the door and a woman answers the door and she says, "Oh, we didn't get a package, but I'll ask my daughter." And that's the end of the story. And I tell her, her daughter definitely has my package. She is the one that is the recipient. But I'm like, you know what? There's nothing I can do about it. I appreciate you giving me this context. Not gonna lie though, this did put me in a little bit of a mood because again, I just wanted this to be over. And I was like, ugh, we just keep opening this book and I'm really just trying to enjoy my trip. But then I get a message from an account on Depop that I do not recognize. I open it and it's the bitch Esme who has made a new account to reach out to me. She's like, "Hey girl, I saw that you tried to return your bag. I sent my bag and that's weird that you haven't received it yet. I can pay you half for your bag if you want to, but I did ship your bag." And I'm immediately suspicious because Depop is very good about updating their shipping. And so I reach out to Depop. I ask them, "Hey, this girl has reached out to me from a new account. Her old account has a purchase of mine that needed to be shipped. Can you check that tracking information and let me know if anything is moved?" They get back to me and they say, "No, this tracking number has not been shipped. It has not been checked into any post office. She has not shipped this package." And I was like, "Oh, so you're lying to me now too. You want to steal from me and then you want to lie to me. That is crazy." I've reached my time limit on this. I guess I'll have to make it part 2. This is part 2 of the time this bitch tried to scam me out of my Coach bag and I called the cops to her house. Where I left off in the first part, this bitch tells me that she shipped her bag. She did not. I literally have proof of her not shipping it. But she's in my DMs telling me that she did. So at this point, I'm really irritated and I give her 3 options. If you know me, you know that I am immediately confrontational the moment I know that you're lying to me, but I'm trying to settle this civilly. So I say, you have 3 options. You either finish your end of the trade, you send me my bag back, or you pay me for the bag, which by the way is going for up to $300 online right now. I told her $180. And I said, if you don't comply, I have more than enough evidence of you having my bag, not shipping your bag, and now you've given me more proof that you have my bag. I will be escalating this to the police and a USPS. She starts throwing a fucking fit. And this is where I think she's probably like 16 years old because like no one who is grown and like thinks logically would ever say this shit to me. But she's like, "Oh, now that you're threatening me, I don't want to send it to you. I have your bag. If you were nicer, I would send it to you, but now I'm not." And I'm like, okay, this is like a child that I'm dealing with. Either that or you're like really fucking stupid. I tell her, you can't use my bag as leverage against me, but okay, girl. I stop responding to her. And then later on in the night, she says, if you pay for shipping through Depop again, I'll send it to you. And I tell her, well, you still have that shipping label that I paid for the first time around. You can ask Depop for that shipping label. I should not have to pay for this twice. She's like, well, I don't want to do all that, so I was going to ship it to you, but I'm not going to anymore. Again, I'm like, whatever, don't care. But I think on this a little bit, and I'm like, you know what? It would save me the headache to just buy it again. And Depop has free shipping right now, so I didn't even really have to pay for shipping. It was literally $1. So she lists my bag. I buy it for $1. She says, I'm so sorry, I'll ship this tomorrow. And I'm like, okay, interesting character development. So a couple days go by and I see that she still hasn't shipped it. And I see that the bitch is active on Depop. I'm asking her, hey, when are you shipping this? She's reading it and not responding. I'm like, okay, you know what? It's been a week since she said that she would ship it again. And it's been almost 2 weeks since the very start of this story. I've given you more than enough time I told you I would be reaching out to authorities, and I am absolutely doing that now. So I call USPS to open a formal complaint about this situation. Firstly, I call USPS corporate and tell them, hey, someone in the Mesa, Arizona post office has to be held accountable for, 1, not answering the phone when I called 35 times, and 2, delivering a package when it was marked as intercepted in the system. They say, okay, we can open a formal complaint for you. And 20 minutes later, I get a phone call from Arizona. And I'm like, wow, it's crazy to see this phone number pop up on my screen. I've been calling this for hours and not one person picked up. Now I put in a complaint. 20 minutes later, someone's calling me. It's the station master from the Arizona post office. And she's like, hey, I see that you opened a complaint with our post office. Can you explain a little bit more about your situation? So I tell her everything and she's like, okay, give me a second. She puts me on hold. She speaks with the supervisor and the carrier that was on shift when my package was delivered. She told me that she was able to speak to the carrier that delivered my package, and he was the one that also went to go and make the recovery attempt. Apparently, when he knocked on the door, a Spanish-speaking woman came out and he had to phone a supervisor to translate and say, hey, a package was delivered here. Do you know where it is? Can you give it to us? She says, I'll go and look. She goes inside the house and she doesn't come back out. I'm like, oh, is her mom in on this too? But the station master says, we can make a second recovery attempt for you. I do have someone going out on the route today in about an hour. I can call you back in a few hours and let you know what they say. And I'm like, great, thank you. She calls me back in a couple of hours and I say, do you have good news for me? And she says no. And I'm like, all right, let me hear it. So apparently he went to go knock on her door again and said, hey, we have a package that was delivered here 2 weeks ago. Do you have the package? And this time an English-speaking female comes out and says no. I was like, oh, that's the girl. That's the girl that I sent my package to. And she's claiming that she doesn't have the package to you guys, but I know she has it. I have screenshot evidence of her having the bag and refusing to send it back to me. Bingo, bitch. You can lie to me, but you cannot lie to a postal worker. I say, okay, ma'am, thank you for doing that for me. Can you please send this to me in writing so that I have a paper trail of this? And she does. She does also confirm to me that when a package is marked as intercepted in the system, when it's scanned at the post office, it comes up as package intercept, please see supervisor. And then when the package is dropped off at the door, it should also say the same message. So you're telling me that 2 people fucked up their jobs. But she was very nice, so told her, thank you for letting me know this. I'm just gonna be proceeding with opening a police case. And so that's what I do. I open a police case with her local police department. I'm on the phone with them for a little bit and they're able to open a full report for me. I also get a notification a couple days later saying that the police have spoken with the parties involved in the situation. So I'm like, all right, great. I'm good. I reach out to the girl again and I'm like, hey, just letting you know that I've given you more than enough time to rectify this situation privately. I told you that I would be escalating this to authorities and I have. There is an open police report. I've given them all of the documentation, all of the evidence, all of our messages. Just letting you know I was following up on my end of the deal. She's being a little whiny bitch again, but she does say that she'll ship my bag and she finally does. So my bag is coming home in the next couple of days. Stay tuned to see if there's even a bag in it and if my bag is destroyed. But that has been the past month for me. If there's one thing that you have to know about me, it's that I will always get my way. I have all the time in the fucking world. I really do. I will make a million phone calls, a million emails, a million more phone calls. I don't care. You cannot steal and lie to me and think that I'm not going to do something about it. So stay tuned to watch my unboxing of my package. Fingers crossed. Hi. Okay, so the bag has come back. It's in the mailbox. I'm a little bit worried that either the bag is not in there or there is something very dangerous and or disgusting in the box. So we've come with some protection. I have gloves. I was gonna put on a mask, but we're outside, so hopefully I'll be okay. So let's go. Here's the bag, or what we think is a bag. And fingers crossed, there's no live animal in here. It's probably not gonna be alive after all this time anyway. What is it? Oh! It's here. But what is that? What the hell is this? That was not on the bag before. Okay. What the fuck? Why is everything detached? And a stuff in here too? What even was the point of this girl? She unattached the hang tag. I don't know if that was to inconvenience me or what, but it's here. I have no idea what this is. All this pink stuff, that's strange, but hey, that's a win. Yay!
Y'all might cancel me or hate me for what I'm about to say, but I don't care. That 75-year-old lady who got put to rest because she went to a coffee shop, started an altercation, and she put her hands in a Gen Z person's face and did not think they wasn't going to lay her out. This is not back in the days. Play stupid games, you're going to win stupid prizes. We're not the same. It's not, oh, respect your elders. It's you get respect where it's due. If you give me respect, I'm going to give you respect. If you put your hands on me, I don't care who you is. You could be somebody's son, daughter, freaking mommy, pappy, granddaddy, grandmammy. I'm putting my hands on you too. And y'all here talking about justice for her, justice for her. That person didn't do nothing wrong. Sorry for her that she had to get laid out like that. But there's no way I'm going to let nobody's going to mush me in my face and I'm not going to put hands on them. It's not happening. I was defending myself. It's not happening. Especially when they try to de-escalate the situation and you kept coming. I feel like that lady tried to use her age as a weapon and she thought nobody was going to do nothing to her because she's this old, helpless lady and nobody can put her hands on her because she's a senior person. Now, look. There's nothing I could say that's not going to sound disrespectful because me, clearly, I don't give a fuck. But somebody's here to tell a story and somebody isn't.
We accidentally stopped in a sundown town in Texas and they let me know fast. Me and my daughter were on a road trip through Texas, long drive, middle of nowhere type of roads. At one point, she really had to use the bathroom, so I pulled off into a small gas station. I didn't think anything of it, just another small town stop. But the moment we got out of the car, something fell off. The place was quiet in a strange way. A couple trucks parked outside, a few guys standing near the pumps just watching. So I told my daughter to hurry up inside, or we're going to hurry up inside. And while I was walking in the store, the second I stepped through the doors, the whole place went silent, like they never saw a black dude. Everybody inside just started staring at me and my daughter, not curious, more like shocked. So I asked where the bathroom was. Nobody answered at first. Finally, someone pointed towards the back. I'm like, thank you, finally. After I finished, I bought this drink, just to whatever. So, and that's when things got worse. 3 or 4 guys were standing around my car looking through the windows. I said, hey, can y'all please step away from my car? One of them looked at me and said, what are you doing out here, boy? I told him, man, we traveling. Can you just leave us alone? Then he said something I never expected to hear in real life. It's sundown. We're not supposed to see one of you folks out here. My daughter was already in the backseat, scared. So I kept my voice calm and said, look, I'm a military veteran. I'm just trying to get home. One of the guys paused and asked what branch I served. I told him Army. And his whole tone changed. He said he served too. Then told the others to let us leave. Before I got in the car, he leaned in and said quietly, you need to get back on that highway and don't stop out here again. I didn't argue. Locked the doors and drove the fuck off. That was the moment I realized something people think is history still exists in places you would never expect, I swear.
Story time on why you should never live with a bitch you call your best friend, because that bitch is not your friend. And this just happened, so give me a minute. I really don't even know how to start this shit for real. Like, it doesn't make any sense with me. I literally just moved back to Atlanta from Jacksonville, Florida. I was living with my sister, helping her with some shit she needed some help with. In the midst of staying with my sister, I had a little issue. It didn't end up working out. I had to go. So, me and my sister's still cool. But my best friend tells me, hey, you can come stay with me. And has been trying to get me to do so since, I don't know, about 2 years now. But I always declined because I was always a firm believer that once you start living with a person you call your friend, they show you that they're not your friend. Now, originally, I came to Atlanta to visit July 2nd because I needed a break from my sisters and I just wanted to come out here and see my best friend. So, during this time, I was limited on cash flow because I had just spent the week prior sending her to work every day on an Uber. And instead of her paying me back, I told her, hey, when I booked this ticket to come up there, just throw me some money for that. Don't worry about giving me everything that you owe me because I know you got other shit to pay. Never once did I ever use that I helped her in any way. I was always like, whatever. If I take care of you, just take care of me. That's literally the type of bitch that I've always been. So the first day that I get here, because this is about finances, I'm going to start talking about finances. The first day that I got here, I literally bought myself some food and I bought us some cupcakes from my favorite place, which ended up being roughly about $43. Don't worry, I'm gonna come with screenshots. July 2nd, right there, small cakes you can pause to read. So boom, the next day after we get up, I'm like, okay, what are we doing? I get up, I make us breakfast, and she's like, oh, okay, well, get to packing. My family about to come pick us up. We're going over there. I said, oh, okay. Now, if you know me, I've never been big on meeting people family. I have my own trauma with my own, and you don't want to get close to people, and then, you and this motherfucker fall out, and y'all not cool no more. So, boom, we get over to her family's house. Mind you, before I got to town, they were doing a lot of fighting within each other. So I was a little nervous about how it was going to go down when I got there. But when I got there, her family was very nice, surprisingly. Like, her mom was very kind. Her sister was kind. Her family was kind. Nobody was rude to me. It seemed like it was going to be a really good experience. So when we're there, this was the first time I was financially tapped while I was here. And I expressed that to her because I didn't want to throw her off guard at last minute. So while we're there, we ran out of the little trees. So we decided to go get some. And I told her I had $30. I could give her the $30 towards the $100 she was about to spend. And then I will go ahead and when I get the 20, I'm going to make sure I give her that too. We get that. And then afterwards, we decide we're hungry. So we're going to go eat. In which she covered the Popeyes meal for me, which was $14. She covered her food and she covered her family food, which ended up costing her a little grip. And you could tell in her attitude that, it had changed a little bit because she was upset that she was losing so much money. So I make it my point from this point forward not to ask her for anything moving forward from this trip. So the next day, she goes and gets all these groceries for us to cook. Mind you, she told me when we were coming that we were coming to cook, apparently. I never offered to do that, nor did I even know that was what was on the table. And then I was like, oh, okay, she's like seriously going to take us over there to cook. But it's cool because, fuck it, it's 4th of July. Let's eat. She ended up paying for all those groceries by herself and gets mad because nobody is paying her back for this stuff. I am at the register. She left me and I'm like, I know you're not expecting me to pay for this because I told you I have no money. Please don't make me look stupid. So after we pay for everything and we get out of there, we go back to the house. We had bought the Popeyes and everything seems like it's going fine. We get to cooking the next day. Everything seems to be going well. Everybody is happy. Food is good. Something happened in the house. They got into it. I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden now her sister is not taking us back home. We're not going to get there. She said something her mom said to her sister. I do not know. All I know is at this time, we needed to find a ride there. So I called the guy with the car and I told him, hey, I'm over here. Can you come and pick us up? I gave this man $50 for this ride. I never said anything to her about this. I had to borrow money so I can do this because I didn't want us to be stuck all the way about an hour and change away from where she lives. So at this point, when he finally comes to pick us up, we get back to the house. Everything seems to be going sweet. They're still arguing about whatever, but guess what? It's not my place, not my point. I always crack a little joke while they're on the phone, even if it's a little tense. I tell her, hey, don't talk to your mom like that. Don't joke with her like that. Always just cracking jokes. At this point, I begin to wash the dishes. when I'm washing the dishes, I'm not knowing there's a certain way you're supposed to wash them. I've always just ran hot water and used a sponge. And she got upset behind that because apparently I'm supposed to fill the drain with water and add bleach and soap and clean them that way. I'm not familiar to this. I grew up in a Dominican household. We didn't do that. So I'm like, okay, well, right now I'm just going to wash off these 2 plates because I had just bought these 2 plates because there wasn't no plates in her house. So I bought the plates. I knew they were in the boxes and shit because she had everything. I guess she was waiting to set it up so she could post a video on TikTok because I was the one who was editing her videos for her. So instead of eating on plastic plates, I went ahead and was like, let's just go to Dollar Tree and I'll get us these plates and a little silverware. So when we got back to the house, that was just like cleaning up this stuff. So I don't even think that's there yet. I think I'm just cleaning up from the mess that I left from the pancakes. Yeah, that's correct. I'm cleaning up the mess I left from the pancakes. So at this point, she says, ew, is that how you wash dishes? And I'm like, yeah, you know that. And she's like, no, that's just dirty. That's nasty. That's disgusting. And I'm like, okay, well, I feel like it's a nicer way you could have said that, but, it's cool. You're going to have to show me how you wash dishes. So I wasn't still too hip to it because it's 1 plate that I'm washing and you want me to fill the drain and the sink and do all this stuff when all I have to do is scrub off this 1 plate with a little bit of food that I was eating off it. So I'm kind of confused on why this is a big thing, but whatever. So at this point, we have been staying in the same vicinity for about, I don't know, a few weeks. But this is the first time that I'm here, which is supposed to be the trip. So I didn't come bringing a lot of my belongings. So I'm walking around a little bit of the nude. So which she makes me know she is uncomfortable. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to go to the other place I was at before and grab some more of my stuff so I can have some more clothes because right now I don't have any clothes. Because her big thing was that I didn't do shit. So why didn't I just rewash the clothes I had on? Because I only had like a few garments, literally. So, okay, you don't like to see that? That's fine. I'll go get my stuff and cover up, in which I did. Now, when I first moved in, we sat and we had a conversation about how this was going to go, making sure her living room didn't become a living space, all this stuff, how we're going to go about this, how we're going to treat each other, so on moving forward. At this time, I'm thinking, okay, me and this girl are cool. We've been cool since freaking high school. Like, I don't see any reason for this to go wrong. But it did. It went horribly wrong. Horribly. And I'm going to tell you the rest in part 2. This is just the first few weeks of me living there. So, boom. At this time, before I even moved here, she's like, hey, when you come here, you don't have to worry about none of that. Like, you can have guests over. You're cool to have a guy over. Like, everything is cool. But when I first got there, I didn't expect the space to be as small as it was. But when I got in there, I realized, like, it was really, really tight. So I was like, I told her, if I do bring somebody over here, it's going to be the same person. Now, there is a guy out here in Atlanta who I was with for a few years that I ended up being knocked up by. We had a lot of history. So, like, that's who picked me up from the bus station and brought me there. And we had our own little thing that I was so happy to tell her about, that now all of this is a problem. So she tells me that it's okay for me to bring over my company. But I'm always double checking with somebody because they'll tell you one thing and they really mean another. Now, something to add. When she was living with people, they were mistreating her and took advantage of her and was dirty to her. So now that she has somebody living in her home, I honestly believe that now that she has the turn to be the horrible person, she's doing it because people have a tendency to do that. So when he first ever came over, I FaceTimed her, showed her who it was, told her like, hey, I'm about to be kicking it in here with him. Cool, la, 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 whatever. She's laughing, joking. She's never had an issue with him, so cool. I should have just stuck to my gut and never brought nobody over, period. So now, here we are. He's here with me. He and I do what we do. Afterwards, after we took a nap and shit, he takes me to the Publix. We didn't have nothing in the fridge. I was like, I just got a little bit of money. I'm gonna put some groceries in the house because ain't none in there. So I went and spent $100 worth and $130 worth and bought some food, real food, stuff to cook, stuff like that. She needed something from the store. I asked her and got it for her, and I brought it back in the house. No problem. I'm not thinking nothing of it because why should I? We need to eat. At this point, I'm overly excited when she comes home. We sit down. She sits on the bed with me. We're talking about everything that just happened. We're laughing. Telling her I filled the fridge. Hey, I'm just letting you know, hey, I got us. I'm going to do my part while I'm here type shit. That shit happens. Some time goes on. Me and him go through something. I found out something on the T app, whatever. That's really don't have nothing to do with the story, but I know good and well when she see this, she's definitely going to make it a part of the story. So let's talk about it. He had something going on with some other girls, some girl he lived with, whatever the case may be. I told her, I was like, right now, since he got everything going on, I probably wouldn't bring him back. But if I did, I'd always come to you and let you know. So I'm pretty much I'm thinking I'd rather just wait until his roommate moves out and then I'll just go over to his place because he has a place. So at this point, everything seems cool. It's vibing. There's this whole week where I'm literally just covering everything. One sec. So all of this is screenshots of everything that I ordered for us, right? So screenshots. All of these, you can pause to read. All of these. Which led up to being this much. In the month I've been here that I've spent for her and I to eat. So at this time, we don't really talk about that. I just cover it because that's the type of friend that I am. If we're going to eat, we're going to eat. I'm not about to sit here and say, oh, I need to have from you. I'm not going to be weird about it. It's food. So I steady was the only one really buying us food. Other than the time she bought me Popeyes, I can count on my hand how many other times she bought me food. So at this point, I had bought groceries again. Me and her went out. We were at the Publix. We needed some food for the house. I told her, grab what you need. I'm just going to go to the front and pay for it. She didn't have no money. So I was like, don't worry about it because when I didn't have no money, you took care of me. So I'm cool. We need it. So I went ahead and spent another $150 at the store. Mind you, this time she was there with me. Never once did she offer anything to pay me back. Never. And I never said nothing about it. All of a sudden, one day she bought groceries. And now I have to pay her back for those groceries. I'm a little baffled by this, but I keep it in my note and I stick it to the side. Because I'm like, oh, okay, you're moving weird. I can see that. Weird. Not once did I buy any groceries and tell you need to split that. But the second you made your first order while I'm being here, you want money back for what? What exactly? So, like I said, it threw me off some. But at this point, I'm really not trying to fight with her. We just got in here. No reason to make anything bigger than what it is. So, something that I forgot to mention that I feel like is really important. When I first got there, she asked me how soon did I think I was going to be able to start paying rent. Now, I do not work a regular job. I work online, and I had just lost my social media account that was getting me the most of my money. But I'm back in the A where I know how to make something shake. So to me, I'm don't worry about it. First 2 weeks, I got you. And what happened within that first 2 weeks was literally I ended up making about $500 to almost $700 really quick, really easy. So when I got that money, that was how I was able to buy the first and the second set of groceries. Now, I am someone who does adult work. So at this time, I'm having a chronic bleeding period disorder. I have no idea what's going on, But at this point, I had been bleeding, menstruating for 4 months. Literally. When I got there, I felt so bad because I ran through her diapers that she had purchased, and I felt really bad. So when everything ran out, I immediately called my sister and was like, hey, could you use your insurance for me real quick? I just need some pads, some diapers, some stuff for lady parts. And my sister was like, yeah, no problem, I got you. And she shipped us these big boxes of diapers and pads. So much so that I filled the entire thing back up. Like, her cabinet went from 0 to completely filled. Like, to this day, it might still be some down there. So there was a point in time where she said to me that, like, just in this recent argument, she says to me that I left her bathroom a murder scene. Her bathroom was left with blood all over the place. My menstruation all over the place. It was everywhere. This is what she says. Now, I'd lost so much blood at the time, I couldn't see. I really couldn't see. Now, when you get up from peeing, sometimes when it trickles, you don't really notice. So this is what happened to me. I didn't notice, and I couldn't see straight. It was not no big, heavy, bloody streak going down her toilet. No, it was a droplet. And it was a small streak as if it was mixed with urine. And I'm sitting there like, oh, okay, well, I'll clean that up. Once I realized that I said something, I was like, oh my God, if there was more stuff like that, I'm so sorry. Because when I seen it, I was like appalled. So I was like, oh, I'm like, that's not me. I'm sorry. I cleaned it up. And then the other time, make sure I double, triple check because I really didn't see it. And this is me telling her that I found it and that I was really disgusted with myself. So apparently when I had gotten out of the shower, I've had a few droplets that fell, and it fell onto her rug. They were so small, I could not see them. So I'm kind of confused where she's like, oh, I left these big messes of blood everywhere. That's not true. So at this point, I had used her beauty blender that she told me I could have because it was brand new to go and mess around when I was messing around because this is besides the point. But the beauty blender was used. I offered to pay her back. She said she didn't need it. I said, cool. I put the beauty blender in my towel after I got out of the shower because I just needed it to dry off like real quick. And I left it where I always placed my towel after I got out of the tub. She used it afterwards after washing her hands and found it. Why the fuck would you do that? I literally just went straight to what I'm normally doing because I've been doing it for years. So I just muscle memory, start washing on the plates. She gets to saying, ew, that's disgusting. That's nasty. I would never. You need to just let my dishes go. You need to just stop. And I'm just like, I told her immediately, like, yo, I feel like you did a lot. That was rude and you hurt my feelings because you're calling me dirty and you're saying how I'm doing everything is dirty because I've just washed the dishes like not the way you want them done. So at this point I'm getting a little heated and I say to her, yo, at this point you're gonna wash the dishes. Like you're just gonna be the one always washing the dishes because I'm not gonna go back and forth with you about dishwater. So she's like, no, you're going to be over here. You're just going to have to learn how to do stuff my way. You mean to tell me I'm signing up to become what? Your trainee? Do things how you do them? We two different people. If you want them done a certain way, you do them. I'm not going to keep doing it your way. So at this point, I said, I don't even feel like fighting. Don't worry about it. I'll do them your way. You want that? Cool. I'll do it. So while she was at work one day, I decided to get up and clean the house because I was like, I'm sitting here, we've been lounging. Let me just do a favor and clean up for her before she get home. So I literally go in the kitchen, I clean up, best of my abilities. Everything is perfectly clean. In my opinion, I'm not somebody that's dirty. So I'm just not the person who uses too much bleach. I don't like it. Like, my mom used to do it when I was younger, and it really, like, it just fucked my nose. And I'm not a person who's going to use triple the bleach when I'm cleaning. So I'm using other things that have bleach in them, but still fragrances that smells good. So when you walk in your house, it's going to smell good. After I clean the kitchen, I go and I clean the restroom. By the time this girl gets home, she's like, oh no, all of this is dirty. I'm going to have to do this all again. Kind of confused because I scraped everything to the bone. I wish I had pictures. I cleaned up everything really nice for her. So at this point, she's like, throw Comet in the tub. I'm finna do it all over again. I said, okay, Comet tears up your tub, but okay, I did what she asked. And then I did it, and it sat there for a whole day. She didn't even do it. So I was like, okay, so you were mean and rude to me about what? Like, yeah, we've had conversations where we've spoken to each other strongly, but at this point, I'm like, every time I clean up, you're critiquing me as if, you know, I'm doing it disgusting, like a bad dog. Like, I don't understand why you're speaking to me like this, or why you need to come and do over my work or glance over it like I'm just some dirty pest. So at this point, I'm a little bit blown. Now, like I said, I work online and I do adult work. So usually what I thought the plan was going to be was, while I was there, I would try to do some work on live while she was at work. But it got to a point where she just wasn't going to work. She just wanted to stay in the house. And I would always tell her, like, friend, go to work. And she'd be like, oh, no, I don't feel like it. I'm tired, I'm sleepy. And I'm always like, okay, girl. But, you know, you don't want to waste your PTO. So, you know, do what you got to do and then get to work. You know, if it's a problem with getting to work, I'll make sure you got there. I've always done it before. So at this point, I'm like, you know, I got to get to work too. But then I start to think about it and I'm like, oh, the kind of work that I do, I really don't want to do here. I don't really want to disrespect her place. So I decide instead I'll go to my friend's place who also does what I do and just work from there on the weekends and come back here during the weekdays and be with her. So at this point, I'm kind of like noticing her changing some, like the way she's talking to me is becoming a little bit more aggressive. It's like she's talking to me as if I'm not, like, I don't also stay there. It's kind of like, you know, trying to little girl me always. It's always a little girl situation when it came to her. And I would have to tell her time and time again, like, it's stuff you know, it's stuff I know. We can learn something from each other every day, but we don't have to be like, oh, you know, I'm older, so I know more than you, because that's not the case. Plus, I don't like to feel like that because don't try to send me. It's not me. I don't do it. So, because this girl is my friend, every time I feel she says something to me that's out of pocket, I'm always smiling and trying to change the mood. So, at this point, my bad, y'all. At this point, we are kind of like talking about the rent. Okay, no problem. I got to get you $250. Apparently, she had already covered it and was just waiting on my half. So, at this point, the chronic bleeding was so bad. I had lost about 70, almost 65% of the blood in my body due to menstruating so long. And I needed to go to the hospital because it was like every time I moved, my heart was going so fast. Like, I felt like I was going to have a stroke and die. Like, it was so bad. And she kept telling me, just go to the hospital, go to the hospital, go to the hospital. She would go with me. And the day that I went to the hospital, all of a sudden, she didn't want to go with me. I said, it's okay, cool. I'll go by myself. So at the time, I'm not really thinking it's anything serious. I'm not knowing it's this serious. So when I get to the hospital and they tell me I need 2 blood transfusions because I'm on level 6.1 of blood, I'm really scared because I'm like, what? Like, this is really, really bad. Like, it was really bad. So they had me overnight at the hospital, and when I get out of the hospital, immediately I go and pick us up some trees for us to smoke. Trees are very important in this story because basically that was another thing that started a little confrontations between us. So I'm not stingy. If I get some, we got some. I thought that's how it was with her too, but apparently that's not the case. So after the first time she spent $70 on the weed, I turned around and bought the other bag that she paid for right after that. And then when I found out how much she was paying for the half, I was like, I'm not spending $100. I just go get me a whole little ounce. So that's what I started to go do. At first, she had no problem with it. But then she didn't like what I had brought. So she went and bought from her same guy. And I said, okay, cool. But like I said, I wasn't cool with the price because you're getting a smaller amount and it's for more. And then I learned she was fronting it. So she's not paying him just yet. She's waiting until she gets the next money from her check and then she'll pay him. But the thing is, she did this about 3, almost 4 times. So it was to the point where her tab was like almost $300, where he told her she could not keep fronting. At this point, I'm a little confused and I keep telling her, hey, we can just buy from my guy. But what she wanted me to do was buy from my guy for both me and her, and then she would give me back the money. And I told her, I said, so you basically want to front with me. I don't want to do that. I like to pay my stuff up front. I said, because normally I don't have that sitting when I go get it. I just go get it when I have the money. Still, I never thought it would be weird. But then it got to a point where I was bringing back some to the house and she would smoke it all without me. By the time that I got to it, the papers would be gone. Every 2 days, I'm taking us to the gas station in Uber, back and forth, to go get papers, to get grabba, to go get stuff so we can smoke. And then when I get ready to smoke, it's all gone. She's like, oh, it was nothing but crumbs in that bag, baby. Yeah, because you smoked it all. And you didn't say anything. Even the last time I opened my eyes and I looked at the bag, I was like, oh, okay, well, shoot, I still got enough for me to roll. I still got about 4 blunts in that bag. When I looked back, she sold the shake out the bag and didn't say nothing to me. And I said, friend, where's the weed? And she was like, oh, that was nothing but shake. But then when she got some weed and I would ask her for some, she giving me stuff so small that it's like, oh, okay, when I leave the house, I leave you with about 5 grams. You just throw this little bit of weed at me. I said, oh, it's okay. It's cool. It is what it is. Now I know how to move with you moving forward when it comes to stuff like this because I don't like that. So at this point, minus all the weed stuff, we had plans to go for her sister's birthday to see a drag queen show. I think the price of it was like $40 per person. It was including your meal, everything. So at this point, I'm like, I'm low on money. I'm pretty sure she's low. Let me go get some work so I can bring back some money so I can afford to cover both me and her tab. So when this night comes to happen, I had just finished doing my podcast. And when I leave the podcast, I'm like, okay, well, now I should go meet them over there because I'd gotten ready for the podcast and to go to the drag queen show. So at this point, I'm like, let me just go meet them. So we're like an hour or 2 late. At this point, the show is over. They're on their last part. So they tell us like they're not even, they told them they're not going to take the money or nothing. So I pulled up after them. They're like, come to the car. Okay, cool. I get in the car. The first place we go, it looked so dry. We decided we weren't going to go to that one. The second place that we go is dead. And it's extremely hot. It's called like Cirque something. They're like famous for their daiquiris. You walk in there, it was beaming hot. Like I'm talking hot. People are sitting outside and there's barely anybody there. And it took the server so long to bring us a cup of water that I was like, oh, I know another place. I'll just set reservations for that one and we can go over there. It's at the Yard House over in Atlantic Station. So I'm like, let's just go there. I set the reservation before I got there so that if there was a wait, we can just breeze right past that. So when we do get there, I'm like, okay, this is a better style of place. I'm taking their pictures and I'm like, let's just have us a good time. So because I'm being self-conscious about the fact that I might have to pay for her and myself, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to do what I usually do. I'm not going to get these drinks and all this stuff. I'm just going to get the food and a beverage. By the end of the night, the sister had realized long before that her steak was not the proper steak. So we try to reach to the people to fix that. So at this point, I'm putting my big chest on and I'm like, hey, you guys messed up her steak. Can she get a new one or, get this off of her tab? So it was also her birthday, and the manager is the one who sat us down and told us that she was going to bring her a birthday gift and all this stuff, be celebratory because it's her birthday. So at this point, I'm like, okay, well, yeah, server is off. Everything is off. So I speak with the manager, and I'm able to get her to bring it down to $20 off of each steak. They gave us $75 worth in gift cards, and they took the bill down to $63. So at this point, I'm like, oh, don't worry, I'll just cover the whole thing, which is what I did. I covered her meal, I covered her sister's meal, and I covered my meal. Didn't say nothing about it. That's what it is. Towards the end, when we go to pay for the little ticket thing to get out of Atlanta Station, it's free. We can just get on out of there. Okay, great, cool. Make it back to the house. Everything seems sweet. That very moment is when I realized that the blood issue was really bad, because this was before I even ended up in the hospital. So still, I'm not calculating what I'm spending. I'm just like, it is what it is. I wanted us to have a good time. A good time was had. Now, a very important part of this story is that I put her on with one of my childhood friends. When they first started talking, she expressed her very dislike for this man. She didn't like him. She didn't feel like she had those feelings for him. But the first time he came over to her house, he made her uncomfortable, is what she told me. Then the second night, she claimed it was a forceful action. And I said, whoa, pack up right now. Stop talking to him. Don't bring him back to your house. She's like, why didn't you tell me he was like that? And I told her, I was like, I don't know nothing about him being like that. Me and him were never on that type of time dating. And I told her, I was like, yeah, we used to mess around, but other than that, I've never had this experience from him, so I don't know anything about this. She's like, he's just real persistent. He won't stop. He doesn't take no. And I'm like, yeah, that doesn't sound good. And I wouldn't advise you to tell this to anybody else. Yet still, she decided to continue to mess with the man. So I said, okay, your choice. One of the times in our conversations when she was mad at me, she told me that it was my fault that her and him were still talking. And I said, no, the hell it ain't. I told you to leave that man alone after the first thing you told me. Yet you brought him back to your house right after that. So at that point, I was looking at you a little bit side-eye. But your life, your decisions, your choices, you're going to do what you're going to do. So at this point, this is like a constant conversation about how she's ready to break up with him. Now, in our argument last night, she decided she was going to bring up my ex and my problems with my ex and use those problems against me to talk about me and my mental health. So I said, since you want to make me a person who can't communicate, how about I make you what you are, a liar? Because meanwhile, you're talking to my friend, why didn't you tell him about how your ex-boyfriend called you? And when he called you, you answered that phone and hung up on him and told him that that was your cousin. And I asked you after your phone calls, why did you lie to him if you don't like him and you don't care about being with him and you're going to break up with him soon? They're not even together. So she said that she was going to stop talking to him because he didn't have shit. So I said, okay. So why didn't you just tell this man the truth? Oh, we not together. I don't have to tell him anything. You're kind of being a hypocrite. I mean, I told her, I was like, you never been on the side of somebody who is playing both parties. You've only been the party that's ever been played. So now that you're in that same position, you're doing the same thing somebody did to you, but you don't have to because you claim you don't like this person. So I'm really confused on all this stuff. At this point, he starts to come over more frequently. They're doing what they doing, and it's seeming like she likes him a lot more than she's been letting on. At this point, I'm like, whatever, your choice, you're going to do what you're going to do. But at the end, when he leaves, she's back to, I don't think I'm going to be with this man. But now that me and her are into it, now that's her boyfriend. So everything pretty much started to boil at a boiling point behind $150. After I got out of the hospital, I was not able to work. I had ended up with this extreme cold after the hospital, and I had been laid in the bed. Like, I could not do nothing. I was getting up out of my sickness to go make this $100 so I can give her the money. And I'm literally like having to get up and just like get on video and talk to people in order for me to get this money. So when I get the money to her, I tell her, hey, I might not be able to give you that other part right now. She claims I told her that the day before, but the messages clearly say it was 3 to 4 days beforehand. And mind you, we had already been talking about it, because I know you didn't expect me to show up with $250 after I got out of the hospital. I just know you couldn't have. That doesn't make any sense to me. So at this point, when she asked me about the money, she was rude. She was like, well, next time you're going to have to make sure you tell me in advance. And I said, I did tell you in advance. And she kept going off about the money. So what I ended up doing, instead of giving her the other 150 was, I had it on my credit card. So I said, I will cover the gas bill, which was $90. From that point forward, what I owed her was $40. She kept making it about $150. At this point, I'm a little bit confused because I paid the gas bill to cover that piece. And that's when she starts to say, oh, it's about her getting to work. The issue is she needs to get to work. Well, I've always made sure you got to work. But you said the gas bill needed to be due today or they was going to cut it off. So I'm kind of like, I think what needs to be covered more is this right now. And we figure this out later. So at this point, we had this conversation in the living room. The next time we had the conversation is 2 days ago when we're in the kitchen and she says to me, again, in such a nasty tone, we're talking about the same exact thing, about money, $150, and starts popping her neck and widening her eyes like, next time you need to make sure you... And I'm like, where's all this hostility coming from? But instead of fighting her, I decided to go out with my friend who had just pulled up on me to go take me to get something. And I spoke to him about it instead of yelling at her. So then after I regulated my emotions and decided it wasn't that big of a deal, I would literally just go inside, make our plates, and we would call it a night. That is not where it stopped, though. Next part 2. Now, for these past few days, we've been having our little debacles about every little thing at this point. I spit in the sink while we were talking because in the midst of us talking, I had coughed up some phlegm and I needed to go and excuse myself. So I went into the bathroom and I spit in the sink normally. I'm not thinking anything of it. She's like, ew, that's disgusting. You're disgusting. I don't do that. My mama would have beat me up. I said, I'm kind of confused. Don't you spit in that sink when you brush your teeth? All of a sudden, it's a problem. So I said, okay. I didn't choose to fight to her, but she was incredibly rude as she's been speaking to me these past few days. And I'm like, okay, I'm not sure if she's got an attitude with somebody else or what's going on with her, but I find this really weird. Mind you, during all of this time, I'm sitting here thinking about her birthday and planning, all this stuff for her. So at this point, I don't want to fight with her. So anything she says right about now, I'm pretty much trying to let it slide off me, but it gets to a point where I can't anymore. So the next day, I'm waking up. And when I wake up, it's like 5 o'clock in the afternoon because I was up all night. And as I'm sitting there, I begin to go into a back and forth with my mom. And then she comes out of the room. And let me show you how it is she came and spoke to me when she got out of her room. So she comes out the room and she's like, oh, you up now? And I'm like, I think you should find a better way to talk to people. At this point, I'm like already arguing with my mom. Now she come out with this and I told her, I said, look, I apologize. All that energy wasn't for you. You know what? I'm, trying to smooth down the situation. Completely ignores me. Yet it's very clear she's cool with talking because she's in the kitchen with him, hee-hee-haing, And I'm like, yeah, I don't have to stick around for this. I've already been made to feel mad uncomfortable. It's already clear that it went from our place to my house. And then you can talk to me however you want to talk to me. But I can't talk on the phone because I'm too loud. I can't bring anybody over. You literally tell me, oh, you don't like him, so you don't want him back over at your house. Okay, so now it's like, you just keep showing me signs of, I need to get the fuck out. So I'm starting to realize she may have needed help financially, but she didn't actually want somebody in her space. The space is extremely tight. So at this point, we had already had a conversation about me leaving for a month so I can try to work up some money by my friend's house. And then when I come back, what I was going to do was we're going to move into a bigger unit where I can have my space and close my door. At this point, something in my spirit is like, I don't even think you should do that. Just get up and leave. Like, this shit is going to hit the fan. You don't have it no more. You're not going to be able to control yourself. Just get up and leave. You don't want to end up in a physical altercation with this person that you call your friend. So I pack up all of my stuff, call my friend, give him $20, tell him to come pick me up, and I'm out of there. Now, she decided to ignore me for a whole day. So I decided to do the same thing because I said I needed time before I started to speak to her. But what I did do was tell her sister, who I was planning a surprise birthday party with, that I would no longer be planning the surprise. Her sister asked me why. I told her everything. Like, I released everything. But even with what I said, I didn't disrespect her. I didn't call her out her name. I didn't say any of that. I told my truth, and that's what it was. Now, I wake up to messages, paragraphs, where she's claiming she went broke on me multiple times. She didn't have no money because she was taking care of me. I'm like, I pulled up my stats, babe. I spent $950 within my time of being there. There's no way you went broke on me. If anything, I went broke multiple times on you. I can count on my hand how many plates of food she ever bought me. She bought me the Popeyes when I first got here. She bought me a Shake Shack burger and a fry. And after that, it's real gloom. Nothing. I couldn't tell you anything else except for some small cakes, cupcakes. And at that time, because I knew I didn't have any money and I didn't want her to turn around and make that a thing, I was like, yeah, you can just not get me none. And she would buy me some anyways. And I'm not even a big sweet person, so it takes me about 3 days to eat the cupcakes anyway. So I would always tell her, like, just don't buy me none. But I guess out of her kindness, she will buy me some. Okay, thanks. So it's just like, it got to a point where I'm just like, yeah, I'm going to get the hell on out of there. But then I'm waking up to these messages, and then she calls me. And while we're on the phone, she refuses to let me speak. She only hears her part, and she only cares how she feels about it. So she's turned our whole experience into me being this nasty fat slob, all of these things. But this nasty fat slob was putting food in the house. This nasty fat slob was making sure we was eating. Almost every pack of meat, everything that we've been eating these last few days has been stuff that I have purchased. Not even the last few days, this month that I've been here. It's only been about 4 weeks. I've covered everything. The food in the house that we've been eating. Everything. I even buy the food to bring into the house. There's been multiple times where I bought her kava order. I don't eat kava. But there's kava on my list. It's so much. Where's my... This was just buying weed, buying groceries, taking care of stuff for the house. But now all of a sudden she goes and she tells my sister that I destroyed her house. It became a murder scene. I put blood everywhere. I was dirty. I had spit bottles everywhere, which is not true. I do spit in bottles, but usually if I do, I spit in one like this, and then I'll toss it away. Because sometimes when I'm coughing and phlegming, it's too much and I'm sick. That's just what I do. But that's neither here or there. I was always making sure it wasn't shown, or she couldn't look for it, or couldn't look at it and see it. So it became a thing where it was like, now when I'm missing weed and stuff, I know who's been going through my stuff, because now you're complaining about seeing something that I wasn't even showing you. Because I was like, I'm not comfortable with it, so I'm going to make sure I clean up behind myself, and which I always did. multiple times where no, the one time that really pissed me off is when I got back to the house and her family was sitting on the floor because the damn air mattress was still blown up after she told me not to blow it down that same night. And I get back to the house, her whole family sitting on the floor, sitting there looking uncomfortable. So I'm like, yeah, okay, maybe this space is too tight. Maybe it just won't work for us. But it got to a point where I was so done with how she was talking to me. I was so done with the situation itself. And then now you want to pocket watch me because we went to Publix and she filled the cart with the stuff she wanted and I filled the cart with the stuff that I wanted. And in the end, it became $130, so I paid it. Now all of a sudden it went from, oh, but where is she getting all this money from? What money? Because I don't owe you that. So meanwhile, you pocket watching me, I don't owe you that. But for the first time, she actually split the rent, the groceries. For the first. I was genuinely shocked. So at this point, I'm just like, it's best if I just get up and leave. When I see all these messages of how she took care of me and I'm dirty and all this stuff, it's real surprising. And now she wants to fight. Babe, how are you going to fight if I was paying for your Ubers for you to get to work? How are you going to fight if I was covering us moving back and forth while we were here? There was only ever a few times where you covered the rest. And that's because your family was driving. But I just want to know how you're going to pull up. Like, do you want me to give you the money for the insurance on your sister's car? Because ain't none right now for you to pull up over here. Like, I'm not really sure what you want to do. So at this point, it is what it is. And if I see her and she want that, she can get it. But one thing I know for certain is nobody gonna lie on me and my receipts stay ready because I can go through any and everything. Even when she said, I told her the day before that I wasn't gonna have the rent. Let's talk about it. I told her that, what? Boom. Sunday. She said it was due on Tuesday. She didn't tell me she had already paid for it. But what she did do was spend all her money on a nigga and on food that she didn't have to pay for. And then turned around and was looking for me to have the saving grace so she could make it to work that next week. Why she don't show up to work because she lied to them about having 2 kids she actually doesn't have. And then decided to get on the phone with my very pregnant sister and go back and forth with her like my sister wasn't going to defend me. I'm not sure about that one. But, like my sister said, we're 2 different people. She would have showed up to her house, caught the scene, and then showed up to her job and told her job the truth. Me, I'm not going to do all that. But if you do want to pull up, I got it. I'm over it, bro. At the end of the day, I was a real bitch and I stood on my 10. I was a real friend. I don't think you know what that is, though. That's probably why you are the way you are now. So, bye.
And why the fuck I get drunk last night and set up a threesome? Like, so I'm at the club drinking, having a really good time. And I guess I set a threesome up in the midst of it. I get the girl, I call a nigga, he come pick me up from the club. I get in the car and lay down. He like, what you on? I'm like, what you mean what I'm on? He talking about, I thought you wanted to have a threesome. I look back, the girl in the back of the car. Now, the girl, she is in the back of the car, so I'm like, apparently I maybe did set that up, you know what I mean? And I'm like, I said that? I said that? He like, yeah, you called me with the girl and was like, y'all ready to fuck. And I'm like, I don't recall saying that. Like, well, drop her off and drop me off. Because I set that up, but I'm like, you is here and she is, in the back. And I live across the street, so I wouldn't even need a ride home. So I didn't set that shit up on a mistake. Like, that was my fault. I was just saying words.
Put your finger down if one day you were sitting at the dinner table and your dad comes up to you and he hands you his phone and he says someone wants to talk to you. It's your brother. You've never spoken to this brother before, but you sat and you talked on the phone with him. Mind you, you're only 11. You're sitting on the phone with your brother and you find out that he's in jail for something. You don't know what because you're a child and you're trying to stay in a child's place and you don't want to be nosy. You're listening to him talk for a little bit and you're giving him small chat because you don't know him and you're just basically listening to everything that he has to say. At the end of the conversation, he asks you, did you lose your virginity yet? And you're shocked to why he asked you this question because you're literally my brother. You respond back, no, because you're literally only 11. Then he proceeds to say,
good, because I want to take your virginity. Mind you, you were already being essayed by your own father, so you handed your father back the phone after you continued to listen to whatever else he had to say, but you forgot the conversation because everything after that was a complete blur. You go downstairs, you literally start bursting into tears because you realize everybody in your family is a fucking sicko. Later on down the line, you move in with your mom because you could not take being around a pedo. You find out that your older sister and your brother have a whole baby together, and your dad was the one who coerced everything.
What would you do if you got together with a friend and you started telling your friend, catching up with them, and you started telling them the things that have happened recently? And let's say that you've been going through it, so you just decided to tell your friend, like, you know, yeah, I've been going through it, XYZ happened, blah, blah, blah. And they're listening, they're actively listening to you, right? And you think, oh, like, I have a friend that listens and is just being... And towards the end, they tell you, and with the relief tone, they say, I'm just so happy to hear that you're going through stuff because it just makes you seem more human. It just like humanizes you more. Like, what does that mean? What does that mean? How would you react if somebody told you that? They enjoy hearing your struggles because it humanizes you. What the fuck am I to you in your head? Am I just an alien? What is going on here? Did you just admit that you dehumanize me? Like,
because I got time today, honey. So sit tight. It's going to be a long one because this is a story time on how my best friend that y'all saw me living with for the last 2 years in this house, now she's my mortal enemy, and I'm about to tell y'all exactly where she had me fucked up at. Now, if you know ball and you actually listen to the things that the elders and the wise people say, they say two things, okay? The first thing that they say is that you don't know somebody until you live with them. That's the first thing they say. The second thing that they say, and this is the real kicker, the second thing that they say is that you have to be careful who you help and why you help them, because you could be interrupting somebody's karma and you don't want to do that. And this situation that I just went through with this bitch literally fits both of those descriptions. So back in March of 2024, I moved my best friend out here. And when I say I moved her out here, it wasn't like oh, no, bitch. I paid for the tickets. I paid for the flight. I moved her out here with my own bare hands, okay? Now, the plan was, my lease was already up when she moved out here. I was on a month-to-month lease with my building. So basically, if she moved out here in March, I told her, you don't have to worry about paying rent right now because we're not even going to be here for too much longer. We're actually about to find a new place, a bigger place with more space for all of us. So what you're going to do, and what I want you to do, is I just want you to hold on to your money. I want you to save your money so that when we move, we have a little money to start off with, and then boom, and then we can go forward from there. I got us until then. She said, okay, bet. We found this condo in July of 2024. We moved in beginning of August 2024. Why after 5 months of you supposed to be saving your money, you only had $500 fucking dollars to move into this place. So yes, I ended up borrowing the rest of the money from somebody, paying it back within 2 weeks, because yeah. And that was how we got into this apartment, because I didn't want to lose this apartment. I didn't want anybody else to come in front of me with money. No, I want my shit today. So we move in August of 2024. Mind you, the thing about her only having $500 and why that was weird to me is not because I'm a pocket watching ass bitch. It's because, bitch, you had 2 jobs and no kids. Why do you not have more than $500 saved up and you have no fucking overhead? That was an issue to me. But I digress. But the real issues started when we moved in August of 2024. And by September of 2024, you got yourself fired from the job that made you the most money because you're a fucking idiot. And you got yourself fired on purpose because you just don't know how to fucking adult. She got herself fired because she thought she was bigger than the fucking program. And they reminded her gently, sweetie, you are not. So they fired her. They denied her unemployment. So you know she was at fault. She was the reason. And so, yeah. So then she was basically begging, borrowing, and pleading to pay her rent for the next several months, including borrowing money from my friend who only gave it to her because he felt sorry for her because he knew she needed it for her rent, and he knew that if he didn't give her the $700 fucking dollars for her $1,000 in rent, yeah, if he didn't give her that $700, he knew that she would be fucking me over, and he cared more about me than he cared about her. So it wasn't that he wanted to help her. He wanted to help me. He helped her help me. That's how that happened. But she lied about that. She told me, oh, I just made this money from door dashing. That's how I came up with my portion of the rent. But then you told him not to tell me. And he said, bitch, why would I, like, first of all, that's the only person I would tell. And you're telling me not to tell her? That's weird. So then we sat her down and asked her why the fuck she did that weird ass shit. And she said we were attacking her. Not that we were holding her accountable and asking the questions that needed to be asked. No, it was a spiritual attack. Okay, bitch. All right. So fast forward, here we are. Now we are in January of 2025 after she pulled that weird shit. And we said, you know what, bitch, we love you. And we're not going to let you fucking be weird. We see that you're struggling. We see that you need help. So we actually are going to use our resources. We're going to help get you another job. So we used our connections and we got her personally put into another job. And it was a restaurant job serving in Chicago. So, she was making a little coin. So that was how she was able to pay back all the people that she borrowed money from. That was how she was able to finally get on her feet, finally start decorating her room, finally get her bed up off the fucking floor. Because mind you, like I said, she lost her main job a month into us being in this place. So she was fucked up for a minute. And I held shit down. I did. But in the time that I had to hold shit down, because she couldn't barely afford to pay her rent, she also couldn't afford to help out on utilities or anything else with the house. So once she got on her feet, we had a conversation. I said, okay, now, like, it's time for you to start, like, pulling your weight, And she did for, like, 2 months, and then it stopped again. And this brings us to summer of 2025. We re-signed the lease. That was my mistake. I should have never re-signed a lease with her, knowing that she was struggling for the whole year of the first year of the lease. I should have never re-signed the lease with her. But that was my bad. I learned my lesson. So I re-signed the lease with her. That brings us, we're now like August of 2025. So summer goes fine. Now we're going into winter. My intuition was just telling me, like, this isn't going to be a sustainable friendship, especially if she's not helping around the house and she's not helping with utilities. She's not helping with housework. She's not helping supply like basic necessities for the house for everybody, like toilet paper, paper towel, dish soap, like regular shit that you just need in the house. She's not helping me with any of that. So I'm getting to the point where I'm like, we're not going to continue to do this. I knew when we re-signed that lease, I knew that this was going to be the last time we signed a lease together. I was going to be done. And in the midst of this time period, we're talking fall of last year, I started to pull back. I did. I started less doing the bestie thing and more so going back to doing things on my own. Hanging out with my friends by myself, not inviting you to hang out with my friends anymore because I felt like I needed to separate my friends from you again after you did that weird shit borrowing $700 from a friend that belonged to me. That wasn't a mutual friend of ours. That was my fucking friend. Okay, that I introduced you to, but that was never your friend. And you made the mistake of thinking that. And I just felt like that was messy. Like I had to go back to keeping our people separate. So that's what I did. Now we get into December of 2025. She pulls me to the side, has a conversation, wants to talk to me as a woman. And she goes, things have been a little odd between us. Yeah, I know. I just want my friend back. Like, what can we do to repair our friendship? And I told her, under no uncertain terms, I said, straight the fuck up. You know what can help fix this? If you started actually pulling your weight around here and doing and holding the responsibilities that somebody who is on this lease is supposed to hold. She gave me this whole sob story of, I just got back on my feet, bitch. That was in fucking February that we got you this job. You didn't just do shit. It's been months. Okay? Like, cut the bullshit. She's like, I can't really afford to pay all this money on top of what I already pay. Well, then it sounds like you can't afford to live here, sweetheart. And that was the straw that broke the camel's back. So now we're in January. Of this year. January, we had an incident where like a pipe burst. It's winter time in Chicago. That happens. A pipe burst flooded the whole first floor of the whole unit, mostly in the back, like in the back hallway and stuff. But it came into my apartment a little bit on like, by my back door and stuff. And they had to cut the water off. So because they had to cut the water off, we couldn't shower, couldn't use the toilet for a couple hours, didn't have water. So I said, let me gather my 2 daughters and myself and let me go to a friend's house for a couple hours till they sort this shit out. I didn't tell her because, bitch, you're grown. Sort your own shit out. Find yourself something to do while they cut this water off. I'm not your fucking mom, okay? And she was pissed about that. She was pissed because I didn't include her in my contingency plan to make sure me and my kids were good. Bitch, I've been doing this whole time. I've been making sure you're good. When does it end? When are you going to make sure I'm good? When are you going to have a plan for me? Anyway, long story short, short story long, because this is going to end up having to be a 2-part series, honestly. But so February of this year, I told her straight up, we're not doing this anymore. When it's time to re-sign the lease, I'm re-signing it by myself with just me and my daughters, and you can go. Like, it's been real, okay? And she accepted it. She was fine with it, allegedly. Then she started doing even weirder shit. I'll talk about the even weirder shit she started doing once I made it clear that the friendship was coming to its end. We'll talk about that. But that's why I was in here doing the splits and cartwheeling and fucking running laps in my house yesterday, because she's finally gone. She's finally gone. My landlord had to remove her from the lease early and everything. You see, it's not August again and she's already gone. It's because we had to evict her. And I'll tell y'all why in part 2, why it got really weird towards the end. All right, this is part 2 of why my best friend / roommate is now my fucking mortal enemy and she can go to fucking hell. So in my last video, I ended it by saying, basically by like February of this year, I had told her that, hey, this isn't working out. I did do exactly what I said I was going to do. I said we were going to do this for a couple of years just so you could get on your feet, and then we were going to separate, and now it's time for us to separate. And she said that she was okay with that and that she accepted that, because let's be clear, and let me add this in here because I didn't tell y'all this in the last video, but the whole reason, and this is my fault again, because we are holding ourselves accountable. We're not just all putting this on her. This is also partly on me. And the whole reason that she even ended up out here, the whole reason I moved her out here, the whole reason I let her move in with me was because she was over the age of 30 and she was sleeping on a couch in her mom's house in North Carolina with no fucking job. And I just felt like, hey, I have the capacity as your friend who actually cares about you and who actually sees your potential and actually wants more for you than that. I have the capacity to help you. I have the capacity to get you a job. I have the capacity to get you on your feet so that you don't have to be fucking 40 years old and a bum. I don't want that for you. As my friend, I see a better life for you and I have the means to help you, so I'm going to. I did the realest thing a real bitch could ever do. It just backfired on me, but that's not going to change my heart. I'm still a real ass bitch. I just have to have a little more discernment. Anyway, but that just goes to show you, you cannot care more about somebody else's situation more than they care about their situation for themselves. I had to learn that. So anyway, February, I told her, yeah, this isn't working out. We're going to go ahead and go our separate ways, when it's time to re-sign the lease, blah, blah, blah. She said, okay. Now we're in February, right? I told you. So I want to say about a week after we had that conversation, she ends up being nasty to my fucking daughter. And it wasn't so much that she was nasty with my daughter. I knew deep down inside, you're being nasty with my fucking daughter. You're being rude with my fucking daughter because you have an attitude, because you know your time here is coming to an end. That's what that's about. You have an attitude. I don't give a fuck about your attitude, bitch. What about the attitude I've had for the last fucking 2 years as I've had to silently pay every gas bill, every light bill, every motherfucking Wi-Fi bill, every grocery, every piece of toilet paper, every square of toilet paper that you wrap around your hand and wipe your ass with? I bought it, bitch. And you want to have an attitude because I told you had to pull your weight or go, and you chose not to pull your weight, so now you have to go. Like, I told you what was going to happen. I told you what I wanted from you. You didn't do it. And then this is the consequence of that. And now you're mad at your consequences. Sit down and eat your food. Okay? So I cussed her the fuck out. Yes, I did. I made a scene. Because you're not going to be nasty and rude to my motherfucking child because I'm holding you accountable and you don't like the sight of yourself in the fucking mirror. Oh, well. And what really drove it in for me, the reason I snapped on her was because you were nasty and rude to my daughter in front of your girlfriend, and your girlfriend decided that she wanted to ad-lib. Oh! So this bitch has another narrative going on in her head that you told her, and she's under the impression that I'm the one in the wrong here. So she felt comfortable to egg you on while you're being nasty and rude to my fucking daughter, and I'm the one that's keeping this entire ship afloat. Let me let you know something, bitch. All right. That was what did it for you. So after that, it was up after that. And that was when the gloves were off. I wasn't going out of my way. I wasn't bullying the lady. I wasn't being mean to her, but I simply stopped giving a fuck. No, I'm not speaking to you. No more pleasantries. If you're walking in the house and the doors and I'm not holding the door for you. No. You get nothing from me. Energy, shut down, cut off, done. So that brings us to like March, April, around our birthdays. Our birthdays are 3 days apart. Do you think she got a happy birthday or a boo for me? No, she did not. I celebrated my birthday. I had company. My friend came in to see me. I went out. I had a blast for my birthday. I don't know what she did for her birthday. I don't even know if I don't know. I can't tell you. I minded my business going forward. So now, here we go. We go into, when was this? This was May. Last month. My landlord says, hey, can we meet and have coffee? I want to talk to you about something. I said, sure. So I met her. We went and had coffee. And so we're having a conversation and she goes, I just want to say, first and foremost, I just want to say thank you for being who you are. You have been a wonderful tenant. I really appreciate you. Standard pleasantries. I said, I appreciate you too. And she said, I just want to, let you know that Jasmine has not, for the entirety of your last lease and the lease before that, she has never paid her rent on time and she has never paid it in full. Like when she does pay it, she'll pay $300 here, $400 here, another $300 here. And she pays it in chunks, but she said, unlike you who pays your rent before the 5th in full every time, she said she's never done that this whole time. And then she said, and for the month of May, she hasn't paid me at all. I said, okay. All right. So she says, so I'm saying this to say, she said, I'm going to allow you to stay on the lease by yourself. But she said, but I'm removing her from the lease early. And I'm going to just let you just be on the lease by yourself going forward. But she said, but I have removed her from the lease as of this month. And she should be leaving. I said, okay, interesting. She also told me that she's going to sell me this condo after my next lease is up. So woohoo. But, so I came home after that meeting and I calmly, politely knocked on that lady door and I said, hey, it's come to my attention that you have not paid any rent for this month and you are also, as of this month, no longer on my lease. So I would kindly ask you that you have your shit and you be out of here by the end of this month. No questions asked. And I walked off. Do you know this bitch called my landlord crying, saying how her last day of work was in June and she just can't leave that fast and just a whole sob story. And my landlord, I love her, but the lady is soft as fucking, she's soft. She fell for the tears. She fell for the bullshit. She gave her an extra couple weeks. Whatever. It's your property. It's your property. We're just the leaseholders, whatever. It is ultimately your decision to do that. I respect it. You be kind-hearted, because if it was up to me, baby, her ass would have been on the street. But that's just me. So, with that being said, she went ahead. She did leave in the timeline. She didn't play in my face like I thought she would, because I trust and believe I fully planned on having the sheriff come and drag her out by her fucking knuckles. I never gave a fuck. But she did finally just leave on Saturday while I was out of town taking my kids to my mom's for the summer. She left while I was out of town, like a thief in the night. She just quietly got the rest of her shit out and got the fuck out of my house. And that was fantastic. I was so happy. Get the fuck out of my house. Get the fuck out of my life. But then the bitch lied. She did her big one. For her final act, she lied and told the landlord that she left the keys under the mat. She never left the keys under the mat, y'all. So do you know I spent $120 buying all new locks, and I changed my locks the day I got back, because who the fuck do you think you're playing with? Why would you keep my fucking keys, bitch? Was you gonna come in here and break in my house and vandalize it? Was you gonna come in the house and kill me? Was you gonna come in the house and play in my ass? What was the reason? Anyway, all that freaking drama, all freaking drama. All of that drama. From losing your job, from not supporting the household, from just all of the drama, being nasty and rude, being a dirtball, not keeping the house clean. You didn't have a bed when you moved in. I gave you my old bed because I upgraded my bed, and then you left the fucking mattress fucking disgusting. If I showed y'all this mattress, I'd probably get fucking flagged. Just trifling all across the fucking board. And then I had to basically, like, we had to drag you damn near out of this house. You had to get evicted. You couldn't even leave. Like, you couldn't understand, like... Moral of the story is, don't interrupt nobody fucking karma, bro, because there was a reason that girl was fucking over the age of 30 sleeping on a couch in somebody's fucking house with not a fucking pot to piss in nor a window to throw it out of. Didn't have shit to her name, and there was a reason for that. And I got in the way of that. I should have left her exactly where she was at, because here we are 2 years later, and I guarantee you, she still would have been on that lady couch. Or she would have just found another dummy. But it didn't have to be me. It did not have to be me. And I'm so glad that it's not me. I know who it is now. And good luck to you, Sarah. She's finna take you through there, baby. You think you're in love and you think you found a good woman. You have not. You have taken my trash out for me. I'm so glad that she's in your house now. That's your problem. Good luck. The answers that you probably came to my page seeking, here it is. And that's why I gotta hold myself accountable at all fucking times, because the only reason my best friend, now ex-best friend, took me through all that shit is because I allowed it. A 31-year-old woman with not a fucking thing to her name, no kids, and nothing stopping her from getting to it, and she still didn't have it, should not have been an emergency on my part. She could have stayed exactly where she was at. I didn't have to help her. Yes, I'm a real ass bitch for trying, but that was not my cross to bear. You had the same 24 hours in a day that I do. And you have less obstacles and less things standing in your way. I had 2 kids and I still got my shit together. You don't have your shit together and your big ass age. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking, but I won't think that shit no more. Won't think it again. Won't catch me. I wouldn't give a fuck what somebody's going through. If I didn't put you in that circumstance, I am not helping you. I love you though. Mwah. Peace and blessings.
Please let me know if I'm the asshole, exactly where I went wrong, or if I'm being a logical and reasonable friend. So I have this friend, we'll call her Trinity. We've known each other for about 10 years. We haven't spoken in a couple years. She kind of disappeared and went MIA, which I completely understand, because sometimes people just, you're not walking the same life path anymore, and they go off and they do their own thing, which is completely okay. I don't mind. So she just kind of like up and ghosted me, which I'm fine with. So we recently started talking again and we kind of caught up. I told her about what happened after I was homeless, how I moved into transitional housing, got an apartment, how I graduated, and then was able to give the commencement speech. I got a new job. I moved cities. I have this nice, beautiful, big home. And then she starts telling me about her life. And so while she is telling me this, I feel like she's very comfortable in her life, which I'm like, of course, like, you have a beautiful house, you're driving a nice car, you live in a great neighborhood, you have a great job. And then she kind of gets quiet and she tells me that her significant other has been offered a job at a new location, so essentially a promotion, and he gets a little bit of a bonus. And I'm like, oh, congratulations, like, having a job in this economy is a blessing, but then, like, to be able to climb up the corporate ladder and be able to make more money is that's even better. That's great. And so she's like, yeah, but I kind of don't want to make that sacrifice. I don't want to move. I don't want to lose my friends. I don't want to find a new house. I don't like, which I completely understand. That's a major change. Having to move 6 hours away from everything that you've ever known is a major change. But I feel like she should talk to her partner. She should talk to him and be like, hey, this situation makes me feel uncomfortable because I'm a homebody. This is where my family is. This is my friends are. This is everything that I've literally ever known. And to have to go so far away from all of that literally breaks my heart, right? And so she gets quiet as I'm, putting myself in her position, and trying to explain how I would talk to my partner if I was her. And I'm just like I understand you you are fine and content with where you are at, but he has dreams, goals, and aspirations that he would like to accomplish. If that is not what you envision for yourself, then like let him know, have that conversation, and then you guys can decide how to move forward. But like if you are comfortable where you're at and you're perfectly fine with being stagnant, then that is also okay. But maybe you guys should break up, you know? And now she is getting mad at me and she's yelling at me and she's essentially telling me that I am a bad friend. And I'm like, well, hold on, how did we get here? How did we get here? Like, we were just literally catching up, laughing, giggling on the phone for an hour and some change, and now I'm being called. Anyways, so I'm trying to get her to calm down and to stop attacking my character, because I'm just like, I really don't understand how I'm being a shitty friend by asking her to just confront him and talk to him about the situation. But you know, whatever. She then proceeds to confide in me. She confides in me that before calling me, because her partner is not at home, she had sent an email from his work computer saying that he declines the job offer, he does not want to move, and that he would prefer to stay in this position at the company. That's when I get quiet and I'm like, that is so shitty of you to have done that to him. Because imagine working your ass off in this company for 3-4 years, you finally get the opportunity to move up, and your partner is the one who sabotages that for you. And so I'm just like, that, like, not only am I disappointed in you, but like that's extremely hurtful. Because if my partner came to me and was just like, hey, so I understand that you love your job as a microbiologist and that they're gonna pay you better and that we would have to move, but like that move is just too great of a change for me, so I emailed your boss from your work email and told them that congratulations, I don't want to do this anymore, I would be devastated. I would be absolutely devastated. And anyways, the conversation ended with her calling me a stupid fucking bitch because she only called me to help validate her feelings, and she didn't want to feel personally attacked because I told her that was a shitty thing to do to her partner, and that at the bare minimum, if she's not going to tell him about the way that she feels, that she needs to, before he gets home and sees what the aftermath of her decision is, that she needs to tell him, she needs to call him up, text him, whatever, and confess what she has done. And she essentially just continues to curse me out, and then she hangs up, and I'm kind of sitting there a little dazed and confused because I'm like, I don't see where I went wrong. I don't know what I did wrong. But anyways, yeah, she blocked me on all of social media. I don't know. Did I make the right call for calling her out? Was I a shitty friend? Let me know.
The first one saw the location sitting on the apartment complex for 3 nights and texted asking what floor she was on, saying she wanted to drop something off she had left. The reply came back. She had met a guy the night before. That is why she was there. The guy she had met was the ex-boyfriend. That was lie number 1. The second person also had the location and noticed the same thing. Neither of them coordinated before seeing it. The picture built itself. Sophia waited in the lobby. She said she did not want any of this to be true. She did not ask for the information, and it kept arriving anyway. She went downstairs to ask directly, face to face, before anything else. While she was waiting, the location moved. Not through the lobby. The only other exit was the residential parking. Then the location landed somewhere else, a cafe. A cafe that only the ex-boyfriend knew about. Then the location turned off completely. Turning your location off when you are trying to explain that nothing is happening is not what an innocent person does. An innocent person says, I am here with him right now, and here is the context. Turning the location off is what you do when you know what the location is going to keep showing, and you want to stop it from showing anything more. A friend called her at the cafe, told her someone had spotted her with Sophia's ex-boyfriend. She said no, that was not what was happening. The friend gave her 5 separate chances on that call to say something real. She denied it 5 times. Then she texted the same friend afterward and admitted she had been there. In the text where she admitted it and said it was not malicious, she mentioned the ex-boyfriend's roommate, which placed her inside the apartment. She said they were working together. She had not said that when she told the first person she had met, a random guy. She had not said that when she had 5 chances on the phone. Sophia responded. She said she was not interested in a debate. She named what she had seen, the location data, the inconsistent story, the pattern of being with him in private and then in public. She said it was about honesty and respect, not about who someone follows on Instagram. She said she wished her well. That is a composed response for someone who had found out in the past 24 hours that a person she had known for 5 years had been in her ex-boyfriend's apartment for 3 consecutive nights. The reply that came back did not address one thing she had said. It came back as, I would have been open to a conversation, but having people track my location and your friend texting me about Galentine's Day just to get me on the phone was manipulative, and it did not have to be like this. That is the structure of a response that has decided the problem is how it was discovered rather than what was done. She had 3 nights and 5 phone call chances and a direct text to make it something different. She used each of those moments to lie or deny or stay quiet. And then when the full picture was already out, she made the people who saw the picture the issue. The both sides of the situation is narrow. Sophia and her ex-boyfriend had broken up 2 weeks before any of this came out. 2 weeks is not a long time, but the relationship was over. He was technically available. There is a real argument that a breakup ends what people can claim over each other, and that who someone spends time with after is not subject to the same loyalty rules as what happens inside the relationship. That is worth saying. It is also worth saying that the argument only holds if nobody lied. If there was nothing wrong with being at the apartment, there was no reason to tell the first person she had met a random guy. No reason to deny it 5 times on a phone call. No reason to turn the location off at the cafe. No reason to write a whole text that does not address a single thing she did. You can be at your friend's ex-boyfriend's apartment 2 weeks after the breakup, and it can be nothing. But you cannot be there for 3 nights, lie about it every single time information surfaces, admit it eventually only when caught publicly, and then say it was not malicious. And also the people who noticed were the real problem. Those 2 things do not fit in the same explanation. There is also the birthday trip detail, which is worth naming because it is not a small one. She was on Sophia's birthday trip on January 23rd. That is the specific path through which she got any proximity to the ex-boyfriend at all. She was brought into that circle through Sophia's celebration, through a trip that Sophia planned and paid for and invited people onto. The people on your birthday trip are people you have trusted with something personal. That is the access she used to get to the apartment complex. She did not meet him through her own life. She got there through Sophia's. There is also a video she made, calling out her roommate for doing something similar, being with a friend's boyfriend, going to his place, the whole arrangement. She had thoughts about it when the person on the other end was her. she found it worth making content about. That video is in the public record, and it is a real piece of context. Sophia blocked her, put something on close friends announcing they were no longer friends, wished her well, moved. The response she got back, "You're going to block me," and then announce it on your close friends. Then, "I have zero remorse." Then she brought up Sophia's age. Sophia is 24. She is a year younger. The almond latte question at the end is not quite a joke. It is a signal. I know where you were. I know what you ordered. I know what you did. I do not need you to confirm any of it. That is a specific kind of close that does not require the other person to apologize or explain or come around. It comes from already knowing. She already knows. He pulled off the highway because his daughter had to use the bathroom. Middle of Texas, long drive, rural roads, nothing around. He did not think anything of it. You pull off when someone needs to stop. The moment they got out of the car, something felt off in a way he could not immediately name. A couple of trucks outside, a few men near the pumps watching in the specific way where they are not doing anything else. He told his daughter to hurry up, and they went inside together. He stepped through the door. The whole place went quiet. The kind of quiet that does not happen accidentally, where a room reorganizes itself because someone walked in. He asked where the bathroom was. No one answered at first. Eventually, someone pointed to the back. He went, used it, came out, bought a drink, and headed for the door. 3 or 4 men were standing around his car, looking through the windows. He said, "Hey, step away from my car." One of them looked at him and said, "What are you doing out here, boy?" He told them he was traveling, asked them to leave him alone. The man said, "It's sundown. We're not supposed to see one of you folks out here." His daughter was already in the back seat. He kept his voice level. He said, "I am a military veteran. I am just trying to get home." One of the men paused at that, asked what branch. He said Army. The man said he had served too. His whole tone changed. He told the others to let them go. Before the car door closed, he leaned in quietly. "Get back on that highway and do not stop out here again." He locked the doors and drove. The veteran detail is worth sitting with because it is the most complicated part of the story. The man who changed his tone is not a hero in this. He was standing around a car, intimidating a father and his daughter over the color of their skin. And the thing that moved him was not recognizing the basic wrongness of what he was doing. It was a shared institutional identity. The military connection did what the human being in front of him had not been enough to do. That is not a redemption arc. That is a system that works on group membership. He got them out of there, and in the immediate sense, that matters. But the reason it required any intervention at all is the thing worth not looking away from. Sundown towns are documented extensively across American history. Towns that enforced through posted signs or through exactly what happened at that gas station. The idea that Black people needed to be absent after dark. The documentation covers hundreds of locations across multiple states and multiple decades. Not one region, not one era. Most people who know about it know it as something from a different time. He found out it was not only a different time by pulling off a highway because his daughter had to use the bathroom. That is the version of the history lesson that does not come from a book. The drunk threesome story is the shortest and the most self-contained. He was at the club, drinking, having a good time by his own account. Somewhere in the middle of all of that, He set up a threesome. He called a friend, had the girl with him, told everyone what the plan was. The friend picked him up from the club. He got in the car and laid down in the back. The friend asked what he was on. He did not understand the question at first. Then he looked further back, and the girl was there. He had arranged the whole thing. His drunk self had made the calls, given the address, put the people in motion. He had no memory of doing any of it. He looked at the evidence, which was a real human being sitting in a real car, and said, "Drop her off and drop me off." He noted that he lives across the street from the club, which means he arranged a ride home from a place he could have walked to in 3 minutes. That is not relevant to the main story, but it is the kind of detail that reveals how the drunk math was working. He said it was not a mistake. He was just saying words. That is the whole accountability of it. He made plans. His sober self did not want to keep them. He canceled cleanly, and he tells a story on himself without trying to make it something it was not. All 3 of these arrived before the people involved were ready for them. The location data appeared before Sophia had processed what it might mean. The gas station arrived before he had any way to know what he was pulling into. The girl in the back seat arrived as a consequence of a version of himself that his sober self had temporarily lost track of. None of it built up. There was no slow accumulation where you could see the thing coming and brace for it. Sophia had the picture assembled in 24 hours. He had gone from a routine highway pull-off to being told it was sundown in the span of a bathroom trip. The drunk man went from the club to a car to evidence of himself in a single car ride. What you do when it lands that fast is the part that separates the stories. Sophia already had her response ready by the time she sent it, and when the reply came back with no accountability in it, she already knew what she was looking at. He locked the doors and drove without arguing further because the man had given him an opening and it was time to take it. The drunk man looked at the situation he had created and said, "Drop everyone off." None of them asked for more than they needed from the moment. None of them waited for the other person to come around before they moved. The drunk man's version of accountability is its own thing worth naming. He did not blame the club, the alcohol, the friend who came to pick him up, or the girl in the back seat. He said, "I was just saying words." That is 5 words of honesty about a situation a lot of people would have found a more elaborate explanation for. The elaborate explanation requires maintenance. The 5 words close it. She had it. He had it. The drunk man had it from the back seat of a car. All 3 of them moved before the information had fully finished arriving.